Welcome to Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
Just a stone's throw away from the College Football Hall of Fame, Atlanta, Georgia, and the Charlotte 49ers are trying to build some football memories of their own. Their very first FBS game comes against Georgia State, a group that's only been playing football since 2010. One of 48 games on our ESPN networks this weekend, leading you up to 450 plus for the season and the national championship game on January 11th. Thanks for joining us, Jason Benetti, with former UCLA All-American Charles Arbuckle and two dynamic offenses today.
Yeah, Jason, you're going to see a lot of firepower out of both of these teams. They really want to get the ball going. Tempo is the word we'll talk about a lot. Tempo is what we'll see.
How about Charlotte and its playmakers?
They have a couple of really dynamic playmakers, guys by the name of Austin Duke and Khalif Phillips. They both are highly proficient at the FCS level. Let's see if they can take it to the next. Khalif Phillips has a backup in Andre Bowie who can help him out, but he's going to be the main guy. And Austin Duke, fabulous receiver, can make plays down the field. Georgia State must find a way to stop him.
How about Nick Arbuckle, the Georgia State quarterback in his senior season?
Nick Arbuckle has had to clean up a few things. They worked in the offseason to really work with him on his mechanics, the things that he can do well, getting the ball down the field. He has some great weapons. He has to protect the football. 17 interceptions last year. They want to see him clean it up, but the thing that he does well is run this tempo offense very effectively for Georgia State, and the Panthers really need him to have a proficient game.
The very first FBS coin toss for the Charlotte 49ers here at the Georgia Dome. They'll take on the Georgia State Panthers. Two teams, as you build a program, what do you want out of a game like this in an opener when they both feel like they could win the game?
Well, they both feel like they have recruited well and built different ways. If you look at Georgia State, they've had to take a while to get to that. If you think about Brad Lambert, he took the same approach that Jim Grove did, building, getting guys younger, not having that first year. All they did was practice, and now they're at this level.
April 1st, 2011, Brad Lambert became the head coach, has constructed this program in his own likeness, and his team 5-6 the first two seasons in FCS competition and independent competition. There's Trent Miles, who rebuilt the Indiana State program. He's got just one win in 2 seasons at Georgia State, but that's the same scenario he was in with the Sycamores. The following year, he went 6-5. So a guy that has been a program builder.
Yeah, and you think about it, last year I got to see these guys play Abilene Christian. Their only win last year. They think they have a much better defense, much better offensive line and defensive line. That's where they have to improve, and run the football for them is going to be the key.
Charlotte won the toss and will defer. So Blake Brewer will kick it for the 49ers. And the very first FBS kickoff for Charlotte. It's going to be a day of firsts for the 49ers.
Well, you could tell when those guys came off the bus, they were looking around. They've got some veteran guys like Desmond Floyd, who we'll talk about, some transfers that have come in from the FBS level to kind of tell them about it. But Coach Lambert even said, hey, I tried to get them ready for it, but they're going to be a little wide-eyed when they get to that stadium.
Big place to have your first game, the Georgia Dome. Charlotte's FBS era kicks off. Chandon Sullivan, the sophomore for Georgia State, on the return. And he has a nice one to the 27-yard line, and that's where the Georgia State Panthers will set up shop behind their senior quarterback, Nick Arbuckle. You talked about him in the open. The turnover number a little bit high for them last year.
Yeah, he needs to cut that down, and Luke Heward, his quarterback's coach, has been working with them on it. Better mechanics, better things that they want him to do this year to really get more proficient. You can see 23 touchdowns with 17 interceptions last year.
He did lead the Sun Belt Conference in passing yards per game, passing touchdowns. First play, they go on the ground to Kyler Neal, the redshirt sophomore from here in Georgia. And a solid gain of nearly 6. Second down coming up, and the impact players for Georgia State's offense and Charlotte's defense.
Well, if you have to have impact players, it's going to be tempo offense, so we won't call it here. We'll bring it right back to you.
Jet sweep this time. Todd Boyd, the sophomore, has a first down for Georgia State. Here are the impact players.
Joel Ruiz is a tight end. They really like him and what he can do there. And Brandon Dozier is a turnover-making machine. Also had 2 touchdown returns last year.
Neal is swarmed under immediately, just crushed by Devon Johnson, the redshirt senior out of South Carolina.
You'll see 89 and 99 off the edges coming. Those are 2 key people. Devon Johnson, medical redshirt in 2014, a key weapon for him. Brandon Banks, the other defensive end right there in the backfield.
21st career start for Banks. Part of a big junior class for the 49ers. Quick set for Arbuckle, catch for Glenn Smith. And he put the ball on the deck. Charlotte has the football. They let it play out, and Terrence Winchester's in the end zone for the 49ers.
This is one thing they like to do. They like to get after the football. And the other thing is, it was slow with the official to make the call. But Charlotte kept playing through it, and that's one thing you'll see with them doing. They'll get after that football.
Charlotte's first ever touchdown was on defense, and the first FBS touchdown is on defense.
Coach is going to call.
The ruling on the previous play was touchdown. That ruling is under further review.
Well, the booth upstairs looks at every play, and they'll stop it if necessary.
And Trent Miles actually was going out there to let the official know, are you going to stop it or not, to kind of decide if he wanted to have the challenge. You can see here, nice catch. But guys going after the football. Ball is coming out. It's hard to tell on that angle, but it looked like that ball was loose before he went down. Receiver Glenn Smith with the catch.
It was Brandon Dozier prying it loose. Question is the ball moving?
Nick Cook was there, Brandon Dozier also, but it looked like Cook was the one pulling at it. Did it come out before he actually went down? This is a tough call. You see the back judge right there. He waited. The umpire was right there. They were all kind of what decision were they going to make, Jason?
And the answer was they let it play. Touchdown, Charlotte.
Indisputable video evidence is what they always say, and I think that was one right there. Bang, bang plays are so hard. First touchdown for Charlotte. What is it? A turnover.
Well, this defense, which gave up about 480 yards per game last year, that was 113th in the FCS. They get a touchdown from Winchester, the former walk-on. Blake Brewer's extra point is good. What a start in the FBS era for the Charlotte 49ers. Georgia State driving, but they pry it loose. Smith puts it on the deck. Winchester, the payoff. Charlotte has the early lead. Terrence Winchester as the first FBS scorer for the Charlotte 49ers on a fumble return for a touchdown. And a Georgia State team that turned it over 30 times last year has done it again about a minute and a half into the opener in 2015.
The worry that you have early in the year, substitution issues, special teams issues, but turnovers you cannot have.
Janet Sullivan's second return for Georgia State. Well, he had a gap and just got slid down at the 24-yard line. So Georgia State will take over. This Charlotte program, as we talked about, embarking on its FBS journey today. Brad Lambert hired as the head coach 4 years ago, back in April in 2011. They played their first game in 2013 against Campbell, a 52-7 win against the Camels from Bowie's Creek. And then the very first game at the FBS level. The timeline sped up for Charlotte as opposed to what Brad Lambert thought he was getting into.
We talked about tempo offense. That was a tempo, upscale, high impact, going from FCS to FBS.
So Kyler Neal on first down, throttled by Nick Cook, who missed 10 games last year, the transfer in and back in that linebacking spot for Charlotte.
It's a key player for them, and you saw him early make a statement with the forced fumble, but they have to stop the run. Kyler Neal is a guy that they're trying to run the football with Georgia State. Charlotte has to stop the run to force them into long situations.
Second and long here, Arbuckle down the sideline, and complete. Flag down, Robert Davis against Tank Norman. They say incomplete, but the flag down, so we will check the marker.
There's a lot of jockeying for position on that particular play. Robert Davis and the defensive back, Tank Norman. One thing you'll see with Nick Arbuckle, his ability to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah. Pass interference, number 19.
So Davis, who looked like he was going to have a catch, instead ends up with offensive interference to his name.
6'3" Davis right there. The little push, it almost looked like incidental contact to me, but he was able, they called it on him. He has the height advantage over Tank Norman. Norman, very good coverage.
This run game just will not get on track for Georgia State. It's a loss of 2 on that play. And here's another look at the push.
Well, yeah, when you extend your hands and put that's a better look. You could see the one on the back and the one out front. You can't push out as a receiver.
So now 3rd and 22 for a Georgia State offense that was top 20 in the FBS last year in third down conversions. Glenn Smith on the bubble screen, and he's got nowhere to go. Winchester was in on the stop again.
You can see these guys flying around from Charlotte. I saw them practice earlier this week, and they really were trying to do this. Winchester recognized it. You see right away, he can see that they're just trying to get some yards so they can give their punter an opportunity. Missed block right there by Todd Boyd. Winchester comes in hard.
So, Will Lutz, the senior who does place-kicking duties along with punting for Georgia State, will have his first drive 2015. Gets it away. Corey Neesmith from the 36. And he only picks up 4 yards on the return. It's a net of 49, and well done by Jerome Smith, the redshirt freshman cornerback out of Atlanta, on the stop. So the Charlotte 49ers offense comes out onto the field behind Matt Johnson.
Yeah, here's a young man that had some injuries, but he's healthy now. They like his experience. 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Really good quarterback, a junior out of Newton, North Carolina.
Missed the last 3 games last year with a knee injury. Johnson to throw on first down. Wants it all down the seam. Incomplete. Tell you what, Charlotte's not very shy as Dukes was there on the coverage.
Charlotte's going to attack. Trent Bostic is one of those guys down the field. They'll challenge. They will definitely challenge. See Matt Johnson, one of those impact players, and happy to have his experience back. On the other side, Georgia State, Joseph Peterson, you'll hear his name all day long. Joe Pete, the guy at linebacker.
Johnson a little bit behind that time, so third down coming up, intended for T.L. Ford. Short set after a long pass on first down.
The worry for Georgia State was making sure that they got pressure, because last year they only had 12 sacks on the year. They have to put pressure on Matt Johnson.
A lot of time to snap it. 13 of the play clock. Third down for Charlotte. Johnson, completion to Ford, and T.L. Ford just short of the 40-yard line. Brian Williams took him down after 19. First down, 49ers.
Very good job by the left side of the line of scrimmage of picking up everything. Ratliff comes over and is the last key person there. That's why they're able to make that catch and throw. And then after that, yards after catch.
Johnson keeps it himself, and a beautiful fake has him across the 30 to the 27. First down. Charlotte got 14 that time. Some sleight of hand for Matt Johnson.
Jeff Mullen talked about it. We'll do zone read, we'll do tempo offense, but Matt Johnson has to make plays, and he was able to right there.
Phillips tripped up by his own lineman, and maybe a loss of one on the play. Second down coming up as Shawan Gain Lawrence, the 2-year starter, made the stop.
And that's the key. This offensive line for Charlotte is an experienced group. They feel like they can really block and do well against some of those guys up front with Georgia State.
Johnson under pressure, and down he goes. Jerome Smith, McKendy Cheridor together against a Charlotte offensive line that only allowed 21 sacks the last 2 years.
Well, they had a lot of guys coming at them from both sides. They came with some outside pressure, interior pressure. Charlotte could not pick that up. That's why they're third and long now.
They've got to get to the 17th.
Defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, remember on the conference call, said, I'll dial it up when I have to, and they're in the pressure area. They were getting close to the red zone.
Johnson tries to run, spins off of Phillips, and he'll be well short of the first down marker. So fourth down coming up for Charlotte.
Johnson's a physical guy, but that particular time overrun by pressure again, and then he has to get out of the way. Khalif Phillips not able to pick up the blitzing linebacker, and that's why he was able to take the ball, take it down, and get some positive yards.
So field goal time for the 49ers from 45 for Blake Brewer, who has hit from 51 in his career. Brewer is good. Well, both teams felt like they wanted it and or needed it. They're telling each other that over on the sideline. Niners by 10 early on.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
Downtown Atlanta, Georgia, the Georgia World Congress Center outside the Georgia Dome. 10-0 Charlotte with the lead over Georgia State, a team that went 1-23 the last 2 seasons, but played some teams close in the Sun Belt Conference. And Charlotte has put it to them early.
Well, they have it. Whenever you can get turnovers that become 6 points, whenever you can get opportunities to battle a team and have them kick from deep in their end, that gives you an opportunity, and that's what they're trying to do. Start fast was one of the things that we got from the Charlotte guys. They said we have to start fast.
They've done that certainly in their first FBS game in history. Chandon Sullivan again from just inside the end zone, and Charlotte's coverage team has been outstanding so far in this game. Just a 20-yard return as Anthony Covington shot down the field to finish that.
I think if you're Georgia State, you need to just settle down now. You withstood the initial onslaught, and they've been in this position before. They played from behind. They had some games where they were getting back in the mix, but they must stay the course and really now get some offensive momentum.
Nick Arbuckle's second season as the starting quarterback for Georgia State. His 3 older brothers were quarterbacks as well, so quite the family lineage at the position of Camarillo, California. Arbuckle to throw on first down, under pressure, got those feet moving, and has Robert Davis over on the sideline in front of Winchester to set up a second down and very short.
You know, with Donovan Harden out this game, Robert Davis kind of takes over the load along with some of the other receivers, but Robert Davis has to be a key focal point for Nick Arbuckle today.
Big deep threat for this team, Davis, with 95 career catches. Kyler Neal keeps the legs moving and has a first down, the sophomore running back.
Jason, the one thing you have to do if you're running the football on first down like they're trying to do is gain more than, excuse me, that was a short yardage situation, but still not gaining enough yards to me is one of the key things that they have to do on the ground.
They gave up so much rushing last year, 303 on the ground per game. Arbuckle first down, got it off, and that's going nowhere. Glenn Smith got absolutely waylaid by Winchester. He's having a heck of a first half.
They're playing to the football, reading their keys, and they're forcing Nick Arbuckle out of a comfortable situation. You see pressure there, then he comes out, and everyone is where they need to be with other guys coming up. If he gets away, he still has people behind him. Nice tackle by Terrence Winchester.
Second down and long. And they get the lost yardage back with a hit to Kyler Neal, but nothing more than that. Tank Norman, the junior, up in the secondary with a big stick.
Well, Matt Wallerstedt, the defensive coordinator, said we don't need to always bring multiple people, but we just have to do some things to get pressure. He feels comfortable and confident with the guys up front. Ogunjobi, Banks, and Johnson, but they also have those linebackers that play a key role.
Third down, 12. Arbuckle had to rush it down the sideline, incomplete. He was looking for Avery Sweeting, a state qualifier in the 100 and the 200. He can really fly, a little too much for him.
He can fly, but the thing is, you have to not have as much pressure. Look at the pressure that they're putting. Desmond Floyd on the outside, coming up the middle. Nick Arbuckle isn't staying clean. This is AstroTurf, but if we were outside, it'd be a lot of dirt on his jersey already. They are hitting him almost every time he gets back there.
Neesmith back to receive the punt as Charlotte couldn't have drawn up a better start to the FBS history for this program. Neesmith does pick it up and gets swarmed under. Jerome Smith again down the field on the coverage, 54 yards on the punt. 49ers leading 10-0, and it's the game that they're going to be dedicating to Phil Ratliff, their former offensive line coach who passed away just a couple of weeks ago at the age of 44. We'll tell you how much he meant to the program after this. Charlotte leads 10-0 over Georgia State, and a very difficult time for the 49ers program and head coach Brad Lambert wearing those sunglasses in honor of his former offensive line coach. Johnson lost the ball on first down, and Georgia State has just a huge turnover. Bobby Baker, the UAB transfer, is on top of it.
You knew these UAB guys, they have about 6 of them on the Georgia State ball club that came over, would play a key role, but Matt Johnson again has the ball. This is what happens to your quarterback when you put him in a position where he can take the shot. Trey Payne was right there, came in and leveled the shot, and Bobby Baker recovers the football.
Joseph Peterson, that's him, the team leader on defense, the all-time tackles leader at Georgia State, trying to settle his team down.
So, hey, let's keep it going.
So, tremendous field position for Georgia State. Charlotte was showing pressure, and the play clock hit 0.
Delay a game, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
These are the kind of things you cannot have. You get a big turnover, you got momentum, and then boom. That's where you have to have personnel groupings. Guys have to be ready to go sudden change offense.
Whose job is that?
That is the offensive guys to be settled and be ready to go. You always have them around you no matter how many are there. Some of the guys are sitting down, but everybody has to be accounted for and get on the field with the play and ready to go.
First carry of the season for Taz Bateman, the shifty sophomore, and he's across the 15. Nearly made his way to the house. Dozier got him by the shoe top, second down.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for Taz Bateman. He's got a lot of shake in him. He's a Charlotte 49er player down. Dozier doesn't. Actually, the turf monster trips him up.
So second down on the way, but the 49ers are going to be down a man in an important one, too. It's Larry Ogunjobi, the redshirt junior defensive lineman.
They've talked a lot about him playing a critical role in this defensive line and the things that he can do for the Charlotte defense.
Ogunjobi was the sack leader on the team last year and now up to his feet. Tonight, ESPNU primetime college football is back. Michigan State on the road in lovely Kalamazoo, 7 Eastern on ESPNU, and watch ESPN, part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. Remember 7 years ago, Michigan State went on the road to Cal, opened the season on the road, took a loss. Hoping for that not to happen, they are in East Lansing.
Well, I'll say this. P.J. Fleck, the coach for Western Michigan, has to ask his athletic director, why are you doing this to us? There's some other games they have on that schedule that'll be tough, but to start off with Michigan State, wow.
That's right after our game comes to an end. Second down for Arbuckle. He wants the end zone. And got it! Touchdown! Todd Boyd, the sophomore.
From the looks of it, it didn't look like he was able to get his feet down, but that was a nice job by Boyd of going up and getting the ball at his highest point. That's what you have to do when you get a turnover. Look at Boyd, look at his feet. He's able to get one down. The ball is juggling.
That's incomplete.
That's an incomplete pass. They may look at that again because I didn't think he had possession coming down. Got one foot in, but didn't have control of the football.
Further review.
So, the booth has initiated the review. We both think no good.
I don't think it's any good. If you look at this again, watch his hands and his feet. His feet come down. He gets one down, the right foot down.
But watch the ball.
But the ball is still moving. You have to complete the catch. Now, he completes the catch, but he's out of bounds when that happens. It's a good job by Terrence Winchester of staying after it, because if he gives up on the play, Boyd can come down right in play, but his momentum takes him out.
Would have been the third touchdown in Boyd's 2-year career at Georgia State. Instead, it looks like it's going to come back. Who was the best defensive back you saw at driving through somebody with the ball on the approach?
You know, there are a lot of guys that have been able to do that, and you're talking about at the college level.
College or pros?
I'll tell you one guy that's really good right now is Vernon Hargraves at Florida. He's one of the best young up-and-coming cornerbacks that can make plays like that. There are others that you can look around. Trey Waynes last year for Michigan State. I mean, it's so many good defensive backs, but Vernon Hargraves pops right away because you always see him in a tough conference playing bigger receivers, smaller receivers, doing things like that. If I'd go to the pro level, I would say the guy that did it with the most consistency would have been a guy like Darrell Green. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Now, Darrell Green wasn't a very big guy. He was about 5'8", maybe 5'9" at the most. But he would match up with Jerry Rice because of his speed. But he was physical. He was a little more physical than you gave him credit for. Now, if you wanted a guy that would make human highlight type plays, that was Deion Sanders, who a lot of folks
played in this building a little bit. Well, that's good news for Charlotte. Ogunjobi back in the huddle.
After further review, the receiver did not control the ball prior to touching the ground. It'll be third down at the 14-yard line.
Our referee, Jeff Hillier, will not be receiving postcards with Panthers on them.
But you got to get it right.
So Trent Miles will have to draw up a third down 9 play. Georgia State 0 for 2, third down so far this afternoon. Charlotte's showing blitz. Third down for Arbuckle. End zone again. This is intercepted. Terrence Winchester is going to set some FBS records for Charlotte that could stick around a while. He's got the interception following a fumble for a score.
Well, the thing is, Nick Arbuckle tries to go right back to that same spot, but Winchester's on the outside. He's covered on the inside by Dozier. Almost a bracketed coverage on Todd Boyd. They tried to go right back to the same play. Well, too many times, and Winchester's right there. See how you have number 3 right there running with him? There's nowhere for Nick Arbuckle to throw the football. Watch here. You're going to see Terrence Winchester fade off of his man, knowing that the ball's going to come deep on the inside help that he has from the defensive back who's trying to cover Todd Wood. Nice job by Winchester of recognition.
So the 49ers get it back from the 20. A lot of time for Johnson and a wide open man, T.L. Ford, who's got a first down gain of 11. We talked about Phil Ratliff and the Charlotte 49ers losing their offensive line coach. He passed away with a cardiac event a couple of weeks ago, and those sunglasses are in honor of Phil Ratliff and his energy and his wardrobe. And talking to Brad Lambert, the head coach, he said he was just a guy that brightened up the day for the 49ers. And Lambert used to go into his office just to simply have a better day.
He said he always made other people feel better. And that's the one thing you just look at. All these guys are playing with heavy hearts. That's Jamal Covington, PR1 right there, the left tackle, Phil Ratliff, in honor of him.
He'd been there from close to day one. He was one of the first coaches on this side as Austin Duke gets out of bounds with a first down, gain of 10, and Charlotte's really rolling.
They really are. And this, we haven't even called Austin Duke's name. He's been there. The real key, they're rolling like this. That offensive line doing a nice job. Kevin Donnelly has stepped in, as well as Louis Schwaba, the graduate assistant, as the offensive line coaches together, and they are playing at a high level. Khalif Phillips there running the football. Flag on the play. Joe Peterson comes in and makes the tackle. Have a flag on the play. So it's offsides, and you could see that the defensive lineman jumping off sides. And that's a real problem for the Georgia State Panthers, and Ratliff running downhill.
So it's a first down for Khalif Phillips. Trey Payne on the hit, gain of 6, and Charlotte moves the sticks again. Again, Georgia State last in the FBS last year, 303 plus yards allowed on the ground. Second worst total the last 5 seasons at the FBS level, and Charlotte playing right into it with Phillips, the junior out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. Second down.
Khalif Phillips really running the ball well. Talked so much about Ratliff, who would be happy to see this young man running the football well, but Khalif Phillips really is a key weapon for him.
Again, a lot of time for Johnson to the outside, and T.L. Ford swung down at the 35 by the sophomore Sullivan.
Yeah, this offensive line doing a nice job keeping Matt Johnson clean. Andrew Bowie now in because they're going to rotate the West Virginia transfer, but right now they're really rolling.
Here is Bowie on first down, and Texas Longhorn fans may remember him from that game in 2012. He ran for over 200 yards in the West Virginia win. First time they ever played in Big 12 action.
Talked about the offensive line coach coming in, Kevin Donnelly, longtime NFL player with the Panthers. and other teams has really stepped in. And this offensive line, you can see, really doing a nice job.
Kevin Donnelly was actually supposed to be the radio color analyst for the Charlotte 49ers, and with the death of Phil Ratliff, Donnelly goes into the offensive line coach position. 3rd and 2 for Johnson. Low ball, got his man, Austin Duke, first down 49ers.
Now, I also think you have to give credit to Louis Schwaber, who's a graduate assistant. They both got in there and really did everything. You're not going to replace a Phil Ratliff, but you have an opportunity to have a guy with a lot of experience who had been coaching on the high school level and was really a strength and conditioning coach assistant stepping right in.
Johnson down the middle too much. 2nd down on the way.
They're not getting any pressure, Georgia State isn't, and they're trying to find a way to dial up some pressure. Unlike Charlotte, when they've been on defense, they've been able to apply pressure to Nick Arbuckle, hit him even if they don't get to him in time. Matt Johnson is staying very clean in that pocket.
That was his first missed pass in his last 6. Play action, Johnson incomplete. They gummed up the works down the middle, and Taurus Batiste, the redshirt senior, was right there on Duke's hip.
Yeah, he is a guy, 12 tackles last year versus Clemson, will always be around the football. Came over as a transfer with Trent Miles to this Georgia State program.
Wanted to come back closer to home from Indiana State. Trent Miles just happened to be taking the job here, so he stayed with his coach. 3rd down 10, moving to 2 minutes to go, first quarter. Caught in stride, and the 49ers continue to move the ball. This is Corey Neesmith on that grab, and he's short after a gain of 6. So 4th and 4, maybe a chance they go for it here?
You know, I think they're going to go with the points. I would at this point, because you've gone so well. Take the points when you can get them. In a game like this, you're in a position where you're playing a team and you got them down in their house. Keep going after those points. If it was a little bit closer, I'd say go for it.
This time 35 for Brewer. Sliced it through. Charlotte, a strong first quarter. The 49ers 5-6 each of their first 2 seasons, moving up to the FBS level. And they've got a double-figure lead thanks to the defense and special teams in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they are really doing a nice job of handling everything. 10 points off turnovers. I think whenever you can get those things and turn them into something productive, always helps.
Don't forget ESPN College Football. You can stream every game live at home or on the go. Simply download the Watch ESPN app or visit watchespn.com. You were taking full advantage of that last night at dinner with the phone going, the tablet going as well. You had like a virtual reality headset on too. I don't know how you were doing it.
You were enjoying it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Some great football games last night too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when the football season starts, you know you're right in the thick of it. And it's a great opportunity to stay on top of it and know what's going on, even when you're at dinner. Our pregame meal, so to speak.
That's right. Thought your Chippewas were going to come back last night against Oak State.
Yeah, they looked like they were going to do it.
So now Georgia State, after withstanding a 13-play, 4-minute, 22-second drive that led to a field goal for Charlotte off the turnover. Panthers will get it back. Smith on the return. Glenn Smith, the sophomore, keeps his feet and short of the 30-yard line. So Georgia State offensively, what do you want to see on this drive?
I want to see better running of the football right away. Give Nick Arbuckle some shorter passes. Stop trying to go deep, because what you see every time he tries to go up top, Charlotte is coming after and get a couple of first downs. I think that's been their biggest issue. They'll get a drive started. Like after that first drive, it looked like they had some momentum. What they do, turn the ball over. You've got to get things going. When they had a short field, Not able to take advantage of it. Interception. So they must get some positive momentum and get in position where they can at least kick a field goal.
Especially having given up 47 points a game last year defensively. Arbuckle to throw, goes with a screen pass to Kyler Neal. Some running room for Neal. And he lost the football again. It's in the air. Dozier had it for a moment. Cook was there too.
It almost looked like rugby, the way the ball was in the air.
And Nick Cook pries it free. The redshirt junior back from the ankle injury. Another turnover, Georgia State.
One of the things we talked about with the defensive coordinator Wallerstead was that they were going to have to get turnovers, and they've already been able to do this. This is the third one. Finally, a nice play. Neal with a nice run. Ball comes out. Look at the ball going around like it's a rugby play.
It was Desmond Floyd who knocked it free.
Devin Pearson right there knocking it out, and then all of the other guys ball just flying over the air.
Took a while for gravity to realize it was in effect there. Johnson on the run makes something out of nothing. And if not for the umpire, he could have gone a long way. Second down.
This is the other dimension that Matt Johnson gives you. I remember in high school, went to Maiden up in, like I said, Newton, North Carolina, and he was able to really run with the football and throw it. And you can see here, there was some nice moves. And like you said, if the umpire wasn't there, he would have been still going.
He might have ended up in Newton. Won the starting job this offseason. He was injured for 3 last year at the end of the year. Had to take his job back. And he's at the controls. Johnson, quick throw. Austin Duke, his favorite target, got 3. Third and manageable for Charlotte. And we'll see that third down play at the start of the second quarter. Tell you what, Charlotte 49ers have trumpeted their presence in the FBS. Fumble return for a score for Winchester. And how about a pick for him too? The 49ers, their first FBS game, they've got a double-figure lead. 13-0 Charlotte over Georgia State, a quarter deep. 5 drives for Georgia State, 3 turnovers, 2 punts, and Charlotte trying to keep that defense on the field. Khalif Phillips keeps his feet and gets dumped. He fell over Danny Book, the right tackle, as Joseph Peterson had that big hit.
Khalif Phillips, you can tell. 1,400 yards last year. And watch this hit from Joe Pete. But he just keeps the feet moving. Wow. Early in the season, you don't normally get those kind of things. That's 2 Rams coming at each other tough.
On first down, Phillips the run. So talking to Brad Lambert and Jeff Mullen, the offensive coordinator, during the week, they said 83 plays, 27 first downs. That's what we'd like to see. 22 plays in the first quarter. That's good news.
That's good news for them. They're on schedule. Talk about being on schedule. That's it. And with 3 turnovers that give them opportunities like this.
That's the West Virginia transfer, Andrew Bowie, on the run. He's very close to the marker, and Joseph Peterson once again was there. The flag down as well. The Georgia State defensive side.
You know, this is the problem that Georgia State had last year. Minus 22 in turnovers last year. And 3 turnovers this afternoon. Officials having a conference.
After the play was over, have unsportsmanlike conduct fouls on each team. Number 3 defense and number 10 offense. This is each player's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul. The penalty's offset.
Well, we saw a little jawing earlier between Batiste and Duke, and there's the flag for it.
Yeah, they've ratcheted it up a little bit, and they're really going after each other. You can't have that. You can't lose your cool, because he just said that's the first one. If they get another one, that's when you start getting in the territories you don't want to get to.
Now third down for Georgia State's defense. They couldn't get off the field last year. 52% conversion rate against their defense on third down. Third and short, and Charlotte's Bowie has the first down of the 31. Watch Batiste and Bowie at the 30.
Yeah, they're chicken fighting, because that's what we call a defensive back and a wide receiver, but then the flag comes out after it. That last run by Bowie was nice, just running, putting his head down and getting behind that big offensive line.
Low to the ground for Bowie. He's across the 25. Second and short coming up.
That was the one thing that Charlotte said they were going to do, and Jeff Mullen said that as well. We're going to be tempo, but we want to have a physical presence. And you see white jersey on blue jersey with the hole and an ability to get through. A high snap right there.
And Johnson hopped it there. It's incomplete. Forward pass. So third down and 3 coming up. But nice play by Johnson to make sure that didn't turn into something negative.
It really was. He was able to get up and get the ball down. And it was nice to see him get it out. If you're a Charlotte fan, Georgia State has to be happy. They have another third down opportunity here. Let's see if they can stop Charlotte.
4 of 6 third down today for the 49ers in their first ever FBS game. Off the play action, Neesmith on the catch. First down and then some. Batiste had to spike him down. Charlotte moves the sticks on third down once more.
I'll tell you why this is a nice play, because it's a run-pass option. They're able to show like it's a run, and then pull it out, and Johnson gets it out at the last second. Nice job by Johnson of reading where the defense was, getting it out to Neesmith, and then running. Jeff Mullen is doing a nice job with the game call and getting him in the positions that he wants to be in.
After the 14-yard gain into the end zone, incomplete. Bostic fighting with Sullivan and no marker down. Second down.
This is a critical moment for this Georgia State defense, because you think about it, they hadn't won a game since early last year in September. They've had some close ones, and this is a good job of coverage. They were fighting, but nothing real strong there, but Bostic couldn't come up with it.
Johnson spun down. Just a short gain for Matt Johnson, the quarterback. He's got 3. It was Julien Laurent, the redshirt sophomore from Toronto, at the stop.
Played at the New Mexico Military Academy. I don't see many guys coming out of Toronto, Ontario playing football. One thing I will say about this defense, this is critical for them for their confidence. If they can win here, winning to them is either no points or a field goal, in my opinion.
First down is available for Charlotte inside the 5. Johnson to throw. Intercepted. Picked off by Bobby Baker, the UAB transfer.
So either not scoring anything, getting a turnover, but right there, great interception, great pressure. The pressure's going to be there right here up the middle, coming at him. Nice play by Bobby Baker.
Charlotte's defense has created some turnovers early on. That's the story.
Winchester right there with the fumble recovery for a touchdown. Winchester with the interception. The forced turnover right there with Nick Cook finally coming up with it. 3 takeaways today. Key for them to have a fast start.
A team that gave up about 32 points a game last year at the FCS level pitched a shutout in the first quarter here.
But they said defensively they were going to be more aggressive, and you see that today. They're really getting after the football and the quarterback.
Georgia State pinned back. Arbuckle play action. Incomplete, nearly picked off. Boy, Winchester has been everywhere.
Terrence Winchester is playing some football. He is on it. Talk about one-on-one coverage. He knows I'm right here. He's feeling them, turning to it. Great with his hips. For young guys that are watching the game today, look how he turned his hips and didn't panic, stayed with it, drove on the football. Nice pass breakup.
Great hands, too. He plays bass guitar in church.
Oh.
Second down, Neal on the run, gets him out of the end zone by a yard. And third down and 9 on the way.
So he makes great music.
Oh, how about that? Second quarter, Georgia State trailing Charlotte 13-0. Charles Arbuckle, Jason Benetti, our entire crew. First ever FBS game for Charlotte. Georgia State has one win the last 2 years in its 6th season of football. Still over on third down. Arbuckle incomplete, looking for Neal out of the backfield. That wasn't going much of anywhere anyway.
And the problem is you have to win on third down, and you get a major turnover where you lose about 18 yards when Baker, his momentum took him out of the end zone, and now they're backed up again. We talked about them winning. They got to get some first downs, and they have to make some plays on third down.
Could have been a touchback. They would have had the ball well further downfield at the 20. Instead, you end up pinned back, and now Neesmith has a lot of room to work with off this punt from Lutz. To the sideline, and Charlotte has fantastic field position on the way. The 49ers holding on to a 2-score lead. Saturday afternoon college football's back on ESPNU. The UTEP Miners at number 18 Arkansas, 3:30 exclusively on ESPNU and watch ESPN. Part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. 10 bowl opponents from last year on Arkansas's schedule this season. One of 4 teams in the FBS to face that type of schedule. Not easy for Brett Bielema's team.
No, Brett Bielema is going to have a tough one there, but down the road. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to run that football effectively, and they're going to try to play action pass, and hopefully their defense will still be as good as it was last year.
And those big wins down the stretch against LSU and Ole Miss. Johnson rolling to throw and has a completion to Austin Duke. A lot of moving parts there.
And this is one of those things we talked about with Jesse Minter. The run-pass option. Watch him get outside. The offensive line going down. This is one of those areas where it's a gray area. And as a defensive player, you have to make sure you stay where you are. Because you're in a position where you have to key on it. Good job by the defense there of stopping Phillips.
Joseph Peterson was on that third down, and the young man Johnson has had a nice day so far.
He really has. He's been able to get the ball in position and really make some plays. He has a turnover, 1 fumble and an interception, but what he's been able to do is manage this offense very well for the most part and keep it going.
Johnson, quick hitter, first down and then some. He's got the H-back, Richard Murphy, and Charlotte moves the sticks, gain of 19 as Jerome Smith made the stop.
And just like on the other side, Joel Ruiz, this H-back, Richard Murphy here, makes some plays. He's able to really get down the field. They like him a lot. He's a glue guy, meaning in the locker room he's great. He also does a nice job for this offense. Key so much on the receivers, you forget about Richard Murphy.
One of the cornerstones of the program, one of the first recruits that they brought in. Phillips picking his way inside the 10. Nifty little run from Khalif Phillips, 2nd and short.
He never seems to lose yards with Phillips. He's always going forward. And that's the one thing when you watch film on him from the FCS level to even now. He's picked up a little more muscle, but he runs the football very effective, and it's hard to bring down.
Change of pace with Bowie now on 2nd down, and he's turned back. Shawanye Lawrence was there, a guy who was playing Alabama a couple years ago. He's 17 years old. He hadn't started shaving yet.
My freshman year, I played Oklahoma when they were the national champions. I was 17 years old. He's grown up. You got to grow up in this game, and he's really coming to his own. 6'4", 270 now, a key weapon for this Georgia State team.
Couple of high snaps, another one to Johnson. And he keeps moving down to the 1-yard line. First down, Charlotte. It took Bobby Baker to close the door.
Matt Johnson is a big physical quarterback, 6'3", 230. He's able to run the ball. Look at the blocking up front, though. You see right there, Casey Perry, 70 out in front, the guard pulling around. That power run game I talked about That is what Charlotte is trying to do. They'll spread you out, but they'll get physical inside as well.
Another high snap. Ball's on the ground. And Georgia State has it. Baker makes the play. An interception earlier, the recovery here.
Thomas LaBianca, the center, has had some issues with the high snaps today. And that one was, Matt Johnson had no chance to get it. 74, LaBianca has to be better with the football. When you get down here, you cannot give it away like that.
At some point, don't you go under center from the one?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And that's the thing, when you have a team that runs a lot of shotgun, they hurt themselves. It's just like when you watch North Carolina. Elijah Hood running the football effectively, 20-20. You get inside the red zone, you take it away from them. Get up under that center, do something effective there.
Taz Bateman on first down for Georgia State, the sophomore who's a JUCO transfer. Second down coming up.
And good win by South Carolina last night. Matt LaBianca, you don't want your name called like that if you're the center. You want to make sure that you have everything in control, because that's where it all starts, right there.
You also don't want the coaches going 240 on you like that was happening over on the sideline. Learning moment for a team in its first ever FBS game. Quick drop for Arbuckle, short pass to Boyd, and a first down. You said play into the short game a little bit with Arbuckle.
I really think you have to do this, because with the pressure that they're bringing, you can run quick slants right there. Boom, you get the ball out quick. 3-step drops instead of 5-step drops. The defense doesn't have a chance to get to you. The receiver has a chance to catch it and make a move and maybe make someone miss.
Jet sweep this time for Smith, and Charlotte snuffs it out. Loss of 1 on the play. Devin Pearson, the sophomore safety, along with Caleb Clayton Molby, who says this new defense is very violent.
It is. It's physical and violent, but the one thing is, you give a team like that a chance with a long play. It takes a long time, and they're able to fly to the football, but I like how he describes his defense.
Another quick set for Arbuckle on the slant to Davis, and he's to the 36.
Coach Jagosinski has done a nice job of changing the pace of what they're doing now. He and Luke Ewart, the quarterback's coach. But they are now running those quick slants, getting Nick Arbuckle to get the ball out quicker.
There's Matt Wallerstedt, who left Texas Tech in quite a tornado. He had some accusations of giving out signals to the opposition. He's denied that. He had some accusations of personal issues. He's denied that. And Brad Lambert could not be more high on Wallerstedt's character as his defensive coordinator. They've known each other for a long time as Georgia State moves the chains. They were roommates together at Kansas State back in the day.
Yeah, they played together, roomed together, and they understood. They understand football. They grew up learning football together. One of the things they talked about. And Coach Lambert, Brad Lambert, needed a defensive coordinator, and he was able to get his former college roommate.
Arbuckle has his fullback, Rucker, and he's all the way downfield to the 41-yard line. First down for Rucker, who plays that H-back spot and just snuck out.
Look at the blocking here. It's go one way, come back the other. It's a screen designed for Rucker. Oh, it was a good little takedown that was missed right there, but still, Michael Ivory getting out in front. Big guys getting out in front. Rucker doesn't always get the recognition, but nice play by him.
He's in the slot now at the bottom of your screen as they split him out on first down. Nice mesh. Bateman with speed to the outside. Taz Bateman, tremendous run inside the 20, first down.
He broke some ankles on that play. He had a couple of guys miss completely right here. So I'm going to show you a little something here, and I'm going to take it away from you. I'm going to show you again, and you better come over and hit me. At the very end, big, strong hit. But nice run by Taz Bateman. Again, the momentum is shifting for this offense. Very nice drive by Georgia State.
Jeff Jagodzinski, his offensive coordinator, said it might be tough to find him. He's so small behind that line. Charlotte's run into him here. First down out of the timeout for Georgia State. It's the Warren Zevon section there for Georgia State. 13-0 Charlotte the lead. And by the way, on the right side of your screen, you see the Chris Peterson revenge game on your docket tonight. That'll be fun. How about it?
That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. He's had some things going on in Washington trying to get that program turned around. Siler Miles, who had to retire from football, has to decide on the quarterback who they're going to go with. It'll be a young quarterback, but they need to make some plays against his former team.
Georgia State on the move with the short passing game. First down for Neal, picking his way through on a nice run to the 12. Second down coming up.
The other thing they've done also is go with some 2 tight end sets. What it'll do is it'll balance out your defense. They haven't been able to get pressure. Both Ruiz and Rucker in there with the 2 tight set is making it very difficult for Charlotte to put as much pressure as they were early.
Mackey Award watch list man Joel Ruiz, the tight end, crashed down on Neal this time. Charlotte had all the penetration with Caleb Clayton Molby, a returner at the linebacker spot.
They really come after him. He started 10 games last year, Clayton Molby. See Ruiz right there. Mackey Award watch list.
They showed Joel Ruiz some tape of Calvin Johnson trying to work on his footwork. They think very highly of him.
He's got a lot of ability.
Third down, they've got to have the 6-yard line. Pocket holds up. Arbuckle incomplete, looking for Davis. No flag. Winchester was right there with him.
Yeah, and Davis is thinking, did he get there early or was that just me? But Terrence Winchester goes up underneath and knocks the ball away as it gets there to him.
So Lutz on for the field goal try. Officially 29 for the first attempt for Lutz, who's 19 out of 27 in his career. First chance this year for Lutz, and he slid it through. Georgia State on the board for the first time in 2015 with some momentum.
Welcome into the studio, Brendan Fitzgerald alongside Kevin Carter. We are standing by for halftime, and welcome to the FBS Charlotte 49ers. We'll fill you in on that. We'll also look to last night's games and Michigan State coming up tonight.
First look at a team that might challenge Ohio State in the Big Ten.
Top 5. Jason, back to you.
Brendan, thank you. Ohio State and Michigan State, by the way, both will see Western Michigan this year. Tough schedule out in Kazoo.
Hey, I'm telling you, if I'm PJ Fleck, I'm saying, Mr. AD, please don't do that to me. Let me get some momentum.
What about TCU last night? Held on at Minnesota. Not an easy spot.
I told you last night, I'm not surprised by that. I had said that all offseason, that Minnesota and Jerry Kill are very, very tough. They're running a tempo offense, but their defense, with the experience in the secondary, I just knew that was going to be a closer game. Had a chance to win it, actually.
They did not make it easy on Trevon Boykin at TCU. How does the ball fall off the tee indoors?
Well, they opened up the doors on the outside and the wind just blows in.
What are you, a physics major now?
Real quick story. In the Meadowlands, when you're on offense, I remember back in the day, they would bring the garage doors open and wind would blow through there when you were on offense.
Sure they did.
Yes, they did. I'd see it.
Lutz the kickoff. Neesmith from a yard deep. Nowhere to go. Dartez Jacobs coming down the field to make that stop. So first down for Charlotte. What are you expecting out of this offensive possession for the 49ers?
Hold on to the football and really do a much better job of finishing drives. You think about it, the last 2 drives, they've been in position and they've held the ball, time of possession and everything else, but come away with nada.
19 plays, 6.5, but 2 turnovers on those last 2 drives. And a whistle before the snap.
Undermanned was Georgia State.
First time out of the half. It's a 30-second timeout.
Which is rare now. Georgia State's numbers are up. They finally hit that 83-85 range. Trent Miles happy with that. Didn't have enough on the field that time, though. Playoff push begins Saturday night football. Number 20 Wisconsin against number 3 Alabama. You ready for it?
I am. I'm ready for that game. I'm looking forward to it.
Saturday at 8 on ABC, streaming live at home and on the go on Watch ESPN. The good news for Wisconsin, coaching change, right? Going into an Alabama game, you still have your defensive coordinator, though. Dave Aranda stayed around even with the coaching change.
And Paul Chryst knows where everything is. He's been at Wisconsin before. He's just coming back. And I think he recruited Joel Stave, who a lot of times we say is not a great quarterback, but he's won 21 games. I will say this. And talking earlier this week to Rick Neuheisel, my buddy, we talked about what happens in the first game. He always says no self-inflicted wounds, no substitution issues. We've seen that. No special teams issues and no turnovers. We've seen some of the things you're not supposed to do by both of these teams early.
Phillips on first down directly into the pile. But Brian Griese said it last night. He and Dave Pasch were talking about that very thing. You can't avoid it.
No. Because you don't have in college football any kind of scrimmages or live action against other teams. And there's been a lot of talk about maybe playing FCS teams in your area, scrimmaging them, doing even 7-on-7, so you get a feel for what it'll be like going against live competition. High school level, pro level, you can do that, but not in college.
Design, roll, and pass incomplete. Looking for Neesmith. Third down.
I like what Georgia State is doing. Every time now they see Matt Johnson coming out, you see Caleb Ringer. You're going to see him come and really lay the boom. When he sees that, he comes over right away. They weren't doing that earlier.
Nephew of former Michigan State running back and All-American Javon Ringer with a big hit. Charlotte 7 of 10 on third down.
Javon Ringer was a key running back for him before they had Le'Veon Bell and then Jeremy Langford. Who's going to be that guy this year?
Johnson over the middle, has a completion. First down, T.L. Ford ran the route at the stick.
T.L. Ford was making plays in practice the other day, and this is what he was doing. You're going to see this slant route in traffic, which is tough for a receiver. 4 people around him still able to hold on to the football.
Johnson eludes a tackle and puts the head down. There is a marker down at the 35.
High snap again. Johnson able to bring it down. I would think if they keep doing that, he would have to go under center at some point. Jeff, I think it's going to be on Sullivan. He's really upset. It was him and one of the receivers going at each other. Looked like Trent Bostic. And I don't know if they're going to pick this flag up, but that's the area where they threw the flag.
Our referee, Jeff Hillier, talking to his crew.
And now Shandon Sullivan's going over to try to have a conference with the head, with the official.
Mr. Hillier?
During the run, holding number 10 defense. The 10-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. First down.
Not a whole lot Trent Miles could say there.
No. Again, the snap is high. And Matt Johnson is jumping even. It wasn't super high, but he wants to make sure nothing happens to it. Thomas LaBianca has to get that ball down. It has to be more of a snap that's coming right to his area where he can catch it, set up the throw, or be ready to run the zone read.
Johnson, long ball, down the seam. Caught! Austin Duke, touchdown! 63 yards on the strike.
I was getting ready to say, we've been quiet with one guy, number 10. And as soon as I thought that, wow. Great throw by Matt Johnson again. The protection by the offensive line, but an outstanding play by Austin Duke. Brian Williams, I think back there as a safety position, the last line of defense. You got to stay deeper than the deepest man.
Well, he's the guy that plays corner or safety for them, essentially the 6th man of the defensive backfield. And Duke, who had 9 scores last year, is in on the longest pass play in Charlotte's very young FBS history. They'll swing the gate closed to set up the extra point.
That quiets the crowd real quick when you're on the road.
Extra point is through. Charlotte, though, knows game's not over. They had a game against Citadel last year that went double overtime, 63-56. Charlotte put up 679 yards of offense. They got outgained by 10.
Protection again is really good, and then all of a sudden you see this ball come out. Brian Williams is right there, not quite able to get to it out of Miramar, Florida, but Austin Duke. You knew at some point, because in talking to the defensive coordinator and everybody, Jesse Minter, they said, look, 2 guys we have to stop. And most coaches talking numbers. 10, who's Austin Duke, and 3, Khalif Phillips. Have to stop those 2 guys. Well, that's a huge game momentum changing play after having some problems.
Hankey's on the field on the extra point.
During the play, personal foul number 2 defense. The kick is good. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
So, good field position for Georgia State, possibly. Maybe goes by the wayside there. And on Charlotte's offense, last year they had 22 touchdown drives under a minute and a half. This one goes $121 in 5 plays. The offense was not really the issue last year.
No, it wasn't. They really felt like if they could clean up their defense, get some of those guys that they had back in position to help them, especially on the defense. You see some of the new guys like Desmond Floyd to help out of Brandon Dozier. Nick Cook, who missed a lot of time last year, and then also Devon Johnson. All those guys are back now, and they're running a defense, I think, more to the liking. They had a lot of thinking they were doing last year on defense. Now they're attacking.
Well, for the defensive coordinator, Matt Wallerstedt, he's got to be happy with Terrence Winchester, the former walk-on who earned a scholarship his freshman year.
Well, this is how you earn scholarships, and this is how you do it. You show up in a big way and you make plays. Interceptions, big hits. You're going to see this here, too. Nice play right there with the hands, because he plays the guitar, like you said, the bass guitar.
Got to be able to strum.
Yeah, you got to be able to strum. Like Verdine White from the Earth, Wind and Fire and some of the other great bass guitarists.
You jamming to fantasy before the game? Is that how you get ready for football, Buck?
Serpentine Fire, all of it. We can just keep naming some Earth, Wind and Fire songs, and I'll say yes.
20-3, Charlotte the lead, 2:40 to go, and the showing for the 49ers. If fans were wondering, I wonder how this season's going to go, it's a pretty nice start.
It is, and that's the one thing they kept talking about. We have to start fast because we're going on the road with a team that is similar to us. They're trying to rise. Remember, last year at the end of the season, Georgia State only had 53 scholarship players that were healthy. I mean, you know, when you think about that, playing teams like Clemson, when you only have 16 players on defense that are scholarship players, you don't even have a 2 deep against a team like Clemson.
You got a 1, not so deep. With the penalty, the kick comes from the 50. And a souvenir for the band.
But if I'm Georgia State and I'm Trent Miles, let's do everything we can to get some points here. We've had opportunities where this game could really be more out of hand for Charlotte. Charlotte could really be up 27, 34-3 because they had all those turnovers in position to score. If you're Georgia State, the same drive they had last time at 2:40, let's see what you can do in almost 2-minute offense area.
Well, Trent Miles, 1-23 in 2 seasons at Georgia State. His start at Indiana State was very similar, just 1 win in 2 years. 6-5, 6-5, 7-4 the next 3 years at his alma mater before coming to Georgia State. So they knew they were going to have to pull themselves up in the bootstraps. They're going to have to do it in this game to start the season as Arbuckle, his senior, goes back to the offense. Glenn Smith, the sophomore, bubble screen, and that short passing game has been very effective. They move it to the 40, first down.
Jason, all you want sometimes is a guy that'll make a play. You can draw up a play that's going to gain 5 yards, which that one normally would, but then right there you have somebody like Glenn Smith that says, no, I'm going to knife through this defense, take on 3 guys, and pick up some yards to give us a good start to a 2-minute drive.
Pump and go. He goes the short way instead for Robert Davis, and not a lot there. 2nd and medium on the way. Cook the stop. as Georgia State in its 6th season of football takes on Charlotte in its first FBS game with Charles Arbuckle, Jason Benetti, our entire crew from Atlanta. Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. We've got a grand total of 450 games on our ESPN networks, plus that leading you up to the national championship game, the college football playoff championship on January the 11th as Glenn Smith makes that grab for a couple more. 3rd down, $1:44 to go in the half.
Dangerous throw by Arbuckle. Jalen Holt just missed getting his hands on that for a turnover or knocking the ball down.
Georgia State 0 for 5 on 3rd down this afternoon. They come with pressure. Arbuckle goes down. Banks was in there, and a couple of Charlotte players were with him. Jalen Holt, 2. 4th down, Charlotte 2 timeouts.
Yeah, it looked like there was some mix-up on the offensive line. And defensive line-wise, Brandon Banks was free. Devon Johnson was free. You can see right there, you got to block Big 89. He came free. The guard and the center moved over together and just let him come free. Can't have that on your quarterback. Those are the things you see, though, in games when you haven't had live action. You've been doing a lot more thud. These guys can't go full. Thud is just, I'm going to blow you up and not bring you down to the ground. Now you're in live bullet action, and it's a little bit different.
So what's the toughest thing transitioning from that to this?
Getting used to being hit.
Timeout Charlotte, by the way. 1 left for Charlotte.
Consistently being hit and being in those situations that are much more stressful in the game than you ever will get in practice. Plus, you're going against different people. And whatever you see on film, Jason, is one thing. But when you see it live, it always is a little bit different. And that takes getting used to.
Well, Trent Miles knows that.
Yeah.
He was at a Missouri Valley program where they really like to ground and pound. 1-22 first 2 years, 3rd season 6-5. So this is the year that they really, Georgia State brought Trent Miles in for.
Yeah.
If you're building a program, that's where the track record really lies.
And I think for them, they didn't have really a strength and conditioning coach that he was able to bring over. He has that now. There's all those little bells and whistles that you have when you're in a program that you built up. As you build it up and you're working through it, we talked about with Brad Lambert. He was saying, hey, we had to know what color the goalposts were at the stadium. He said, I had to think about it.
On the roll, Lutz boots a line drive and gets a very favorable bounce inside the 5. Penny Hart, the freshman, is down there, so a long field for Charlotte. And on Brad Lambert, when he was talking to us, it sounded like he was planning a wedding for the Charlotte 49ers. You know, what color are the goalposts, what color is the place setting, and a flag down in the punt here. A 60-yard punt, see if it stands.
That's true. He said every little minute detail, because we were asking him what's different. The good thing for him, and he said this, he didn't have to play right away. It was all as I go. But everything you write in your book, most of those coaches have journals that they've taken from other coaches. And he was able to work under Jim Grobe for a number of years. But he said, I don't even think that was in the book that I had. The little details of what color are we going to paint the locker room? What color is the goalpost going to be? All those things.
He said, I'd like yellow so my kicker could see it.
1st down.
That was funny.
They're going to say 1st down and pick up the flag. Lutz wanted a marker on this.
Well, he's moving. He's become a live body, and then they just touch him. if he really wanted to hurt him, he could. And the official's like, no.
Punters are people too, Charles Arbuckle.
But he's worried about, hey, if I see big Ogunjobi coming at me also, if I'm a kicker, I'd be a little concerned too.
So 1 timeout for Charlotte, 64 seconds to go. And they'll give it to Phillips and let him run for a couple of yards. Joseph Peterson, the all-time leading tackler for the Panthers, on the stop.
Charlotte had been on 1st down averaging 8 yards a play. This is a nice tackle here by Khalif Phillips. And Joe Peterson, you called his name. We've called his name a lot. He'll be at double-digit tackles like he always is.
Charlotte seems content to run this clock down and take a 20-3 lead into halftime.
They've had a lot of momentum here, and they don't want to give the ball away. This would be an opportunity for Georgia State to get it to their offense, or pick six, or a turnover for a touchdown, any kind of thing like that. You want to protect the football and drive it and knock this clock out, go to halftime with the lead.
A little extra pushing. And 10 seconds on the clock. Georgia State
one timeout remaining this
uses
half.
it before halftime.
I'm interested that they didn't call that before.
That's right. Well, the idea is to force the punt and see what happens.
And he's talking about it right there. Why did so much time come off?
Might be in there saying, this is a home game too, thinking about Mr. Clock Operator, help me out a little bit.
That's true.
Baylor, SMU. Now look, SMU, Chad Morris, first season is going to be a building process. But to get the game with Baylor in Texas, you never know.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where Baylor has to eventually play a tougher non-conference schedule. But SMU is going to score some points.
Yep.
And Sean Oakman, I think, is suspended for this game, if I read correctly. And so that's a key point for a team that likes to score points.
How about Bucks upset alert this weekend?
Well, you can see right here. I mean, BYU at Nebraska. I think with Nebraska having some issues, some guys that are in transition, I think Louisville, Bobby Petrino's team is going to score. They've been better defensively. And Texas at Notre Dame is one that really intrigues me.
One more run for Phillips. And that timeout negated. First down for Charlotte. Clock stops 3 seconds to go as they set the ball. And a flag comes in.
And I saw this live. I don't know why they call this flag. There's going to be two guys that come into each other. Carnell Hobson is going to bump one of the offensive linemen, and they're going to throw the flag. It was just one of those things that happens in football. I don't know why they're going to throw this one here.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct on each team, number 55 defense, 75 offense. This is each player's first unsportsmanlike foul during the game. The penalty's offset.
The list is getting long of unsportsmanlike fouls.
It was unnecessary between Hobson and Eugene German, but it really wasn't egregious in my mind.
Clock ticks down to zeros. And the Charlotte 49ers in their first half of FBS football hold a 20-3 lead over Georgia State. We'll come back for the second half, but first, Brendan Fitzgerald in the studio. Fitz, take it away.
Jason, thank you very much. Welcome to halftime and welcome to FBS football. Charlotte 49ers, that's how you make a debut. 20-3 lead at the half and on the road, no less.
Yeah, on the road is one thing, but except for the untimely, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty at the end of the half, Charlotte was relatively penalty-free the first half, and I think that's what kind of made the difference for Charlotte to have the lead. Each team with 3 turnovers in the first half, a lot of sloppy offense, effective defense. It's harder to get the offense in sync, but, we still saw the action from quarterback Matt Johnson able to find Austin Duke for a 63-yard strike. So we guys had some excitement with the exception of a couple of penalties.
We've seen some teams transition to the FBS. Usually they have a lot of experience in football as a whole. Third season of football for Charlotte, period. What can you say about some of these teams, some of these budding programs making the transition not only to football but to the FBS?
Well, you've got to climb the ladder. You got to start somewhere. I mean, for a team that's trying to find its footing in a new classification, they're going to have to step up to a much faster, more physical game, and that means being able to recruit and being able to have the facilities to actually draw that kind of talent to help you compete on the field.
And down south, there are players. The players are here. The players are in North Carolina, South Carolina area, so we'll see what Charlotte can do. But welcome to the FBS and enjoy that 20-3 halftime lead. We'll see what they do in the second half. Coming up later tonight on ESPN, your chance for a big upset. Waldo Stadium in Kalamazoo, Michigan is going to be rocking when Western Michigan takes on Michigan State, the Spartans, number 5 in the AP preseason poll. What do you expect to see as Michigan State takes the field?
I expect to see effective defense from Michigan State. When you look at what they have coming back, I mean, Shalik Calhoun commands a pretty talented defense and they're known for this. I mean, Narduzzi's not there anymore, but this defense has been well trained and well tooled over the years. Connor Cook has gotten better and better as a quarterback. He's really elevated the level of the skill play, particularly on offense for Michigan State. So I'm looking forward to seeing a solid output out of this entire team, both offense and defense.
How careful do you think Michigan State head coach Mark D'Antonio is? Because Oregon's coming up in week 2. Huge game there, but this is a respected Western Michigan program out of the MAC.
You've got to fine-tune your skill. I mean, you can't be careful because you've got a big matchup next weekend. You've got the game of your life that can possibly either ramp up the reputation of your conference and uphold and make the Big Ten stronger, or it can tear it down like it kind of did last year. But Ohio State was able to, kind of win it back towards the end.
Let's talk about Baylor as well coming up tonight, taking on SMU on the road. The Bears have had a bad taste in their mouth for quite a while.
They know they have to be perfect. Just like TCU, they don't have the quality of opponents from a non-conference perspective to really give their wins within conference any merit. I mean, we've already saw TCU last night playing against Minnesota, and Minnesota gave them a fit. They struggled with probably the third or fourth best team in the Big Ten. So right now, either the Big Ten is really good or the top teams in the Big 12 aren't as good as we thought.
Cotton Bowl, Michigan State beat Baylor last season, and Baylor's disappointed with that. They're disappointed to get snubbed out of the college football playoff. Both of those teams in action tonight on ESPN networks. On Saturday on ESPNU, this is what we have for you, kicking things off at noon tomorrow with the Terrapins of Maryland. Second season in the Big Ten taking on Richmond. Arkansas, high hopes in Fayetteville. The Razorbacks will host UTEP, and Louisiana Lafayette will go to Lexington to take on Kentucky, 7 Eastern, Saturday on ESPNU. More halftime coming up straight ahead. This touchdown will be remembered for the Charlotte 49ers. The fumble, the recovery, the scoop, and score by Terrence Winchester, and the first FBS touchdown for the 49ers. They tacked on another one as well, a couple of field goals, and it is 20-3 at the half. Last night, TCU, number 2 in the preseason poll. They hung on to beat Minnesota on the road. Trevon Boykin, not a spectacular game. 1 touchdown throwing, 1 interception. Also had a touchdown on the ground. They get it done 23-17. Michigan said hello to Jim Harbaugh. Jake Rudock, the Iowa transfer, known for not turning the ball over much with the Hawkeyes. He had 3 interceptions last night, including this pick 6, and Utah hangs on to defeat Michigan 24-17 in Salt Lake City. Battle of the Carolinas in Charlotte. It was the head ball coach for South Carolina and their new revamped defense, and the defense looked good. 3 interceptions, 2 of them by Sky Moore in the end zone, including this one on 4th and goal for North Carolina late in the ball game in the 4th quarter. And so South Carolina wins it 17-13. And this, just before 5 in the morning Eastern time, out on the island of Oahu, Hawaii up 28-20. Colorado trying to run the final play. Time runs out on the Buffaloes, and it's the Warriors of Hawaii getting the victory. Max Wittek, transfer from Southern Cal, makes his first start for the Warriors, and they win 28-20. I sat with Jason Sehorn last night. I said, what impressed you, if anything, on Thursday night? He said, no team impressed me. What did you take away from last night?
I wasn't really impressed, but I wasn't as dejected as some people were over the performance by TCU. I think it's the first game. I think you're going to see improvement out of Trevon Boykin. But what I wasn't really impressed with is their defense. I think their defense should have played a little bit better, kind of playing against a Big Ten opponent, maybe the 3rd or 4th best team in the Big Ten in Minnesota. But when I look at their future going forward, they're going to have some trouble. They're going to have to outscore people in the Big 12 without a stout defense to really make a difference.
You were at the Battle of the Carolinas in Charlotte. What'd you notice from your old head ball coach, Steve Spurrier? And the revamped defense looked okay.
They played within themselves. I think that was the biggest takeaway that I took from Coach Spurrier's team. The Gamecocks not overly talented on offense. They got a few more pieces, got a few junior college transfers up front that made a difference with the rush. Dante Sawyer, Marquavius Lewis had some big plays that affected the game. But the defense as a whole was very much a bend but don't break mentality. They were tough in the red zone. 2 costly interceptions in the end zone that made a difference in the game.
Yeah, that was the difference. Sky Moore, 2 interceptions in the end zone, 1 early, 1 late to seal it for South Carolina.
He was invisible. He was wearing invisibility spray.
Baylor's hoping to have an improved defense this time around. Baylor at SMU, 7 Eastern on ESPN, also available on Watch ESPN. And Art Briles has said, food has not tasted good since last January, and they got that snub in the college football playoff. We'll see how they start things. New head coach for SMU. More halftime straight ahead. ESPN College Football. You can stream every game live at home or on the go. Just download the Watch ESPN app or visit watchespn.com. 48 games just this weekend on ESPN networks. Don't miss 1 minute of the action. Despite what you may have heard, it's not cupcakes for everyone this weekend. A couple of intriguing games caught our eye. Washington at Boise State. That game is tonight on the Smurf turf. Chris Peterson going back to Boise. And then you have a handful of big clashes on Saturday, including Wisconsin at Alabama, or at Arlington in that game. A couple of top 20 teams. You look at that list. What game stands out at you the most?
Arizona State.
Yeah,
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
I mean,
That's a good one.
Thinking about how many points are going to be scored in this, whose defense is going to show up to play. I'm thinking about Chavis's impact on the defense of Texas A&M. I mean, what have they been missing in the past couple of seasons? Defense. So they're going to be playing against a high-powered offense in Arizona State. We'll see what happens.
How do you think Arizona State's going to come after Kyle Allen? They blitz a lot.
Right. I would come after him. I mean, he's a young quarterback. I mean, he had a good season last year, won 3 out of 5 last games, an impressive bowl win, the Liberty Bowl last year. But he's still a young quarterback. So first game jitters, thrown aside, I'd throw the kitchen sink at him and see how he reacts.
The quote-unquote neutral site game, it'll be in Houston, so Texas A&M will have the home field advantage there. Interesting, the Texas A&M, the favorite in that game, despite being unranked, Arizona State ranked 15th in the country. A big prove-it game for the Pac-12 South because they want to say, hey, we got a pretty tough division too, SEC West.
Both teams respectively playing in 2 of the tougher divisions in college football, though.
Plenty to play for there between Texas A&M and Arizona State. Good week 1 clash that'll happen. Charlotte, they're looking pretty good. How about the first offensive touchdown in FPS? Austin Duke with a 63-yard touchdown grab from Matt Johnson. 20-3 at the half.
I think this might be one of those Saturdays where crazy things might be happening.
Lee Corso has a pretty good record when he picks Big Al for Alabama, or will he pick Bucky the Badger C on Saturday, 9 a.m. So happy to have another season of College Game Day back, and they'll do it from Fort Worth in advance of that game. Real quick thought on the second half between Charlotte and Georgia State here.
Hopefully less turnovers. I mean, sloppy football to begin. Offense takes longer to get in sync, but hopefully the offenses will get on track for the second half.
Yeah, they're new. Not just new to the season. They're new to football. 3rd year of football for Charlotte, the 49ers making the transition to the FBS. So far, so good. It's 20-3 at the half, but the second half coming straight ahead right here on ESPNU. This is Austin Duke and the first offensive touchdown in FBS for Charlotte. 63 yards on the pitch and catch with Matt Johnson. It's 20-3, second half with Jason Benetti and Charles Arbuckle on the other side.
You're watching Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
Charlotte 49ers, their very first FBS opponent, and they're taking it to Georgia State. 20-3 started the second half. Jason Benetti, Charles Arbuckle, and Buck. This all started on defense for the 49ers.
It really did. The way you can go is if you travel, you bring your toothbrush, you bring your deodorant, but you bring your defense. And this is what they've done. Winchester making plays all over the place. Interception, fumble recovery return, and then what it does is it sets up. You see how Matt Johnson has time to get the ball down the field to a big play weapon, Austin Duke. Brian Williams, you can't make that mistake. Austin Duke, you can get in the end zone.
Can you get your defense through security if you're a toothbrush, deodorant?
Yeah, I don't know. They may make you take that out. But I know if you bring them with you and they make plays like this is what happens.
10 points off 3 turnovers for Charlotte. Austin Duke with a big hit for the touchdown. If you're Trent Miles, What are you telling your team at halftime here?
We're still in this ball game. We've been in these situations before, but we've got to get some positive momentum on our defense or offense, whichever way it is, and we've got to get that immediately starting in the third quarter.
Charlotte won the toss and deferred, so the 49ers have it first out of halftime. Austin Duke driven back, and Neesmith says, hold the phone. Well, Charlotte turned the ball over 3 times in the first half, but Matt Johnson generally made some pretty good decisions.
And where they turned it over was in situations where they were deep inside the red zone. So that's why I said this game could be conceivably at 34-3. That's why if you're Georgia State, let's figure out now, how do we stop them, 3 and out? And then how do we get the ball back to Nick Arbuckle to make plays with our high-powered offense? If you're Charlotte, let's get a sustained drive with Khalif Phillips starting it off for you on the ground.
Short pass nearly picked. T.L. Ford comes away with it. And first down, Charlotte. Bullet dodge there.
I think T.L. Ford almost thought, hey, what am I going to do after I catch it? Great break on the ball by Bruce Dukes, but not able to get there. And T.L. Ford, look, he's kind of hesitating for a second and said, okay, I got it. Let me go.
Phillips on first down, sheds 1 tackle, and has a nice gain. There is a marker down as well on Dukes, who nearly had that pick for the score. Would have likely gone for 6. He had 4 pick sixes as a high school senior, so he's very clear on how to break on the ball.
Also a UCF transfer in, played at Sandy Creek down the road, but has been having a hamstring injury during fall, so maybe stopped them from really going full bore after that football.
Holding, 85 offense, penalties 10 yards, first down.
That Richard Murphy flag is the first penalty against Charlotte of the game.
Charlotte has played a clean football game, but you see Murphy there on the outside, got his hands outside. As a tight end, you're taught keep him inside and you keep that clean. Alonzo McGee, he was able to lock him up. Another transfer, number 4 for Georgia State from UAB.
After what happened with that program, a couple of Sun Belt schools actually went after UAB kids. South Alabama, which had a great year last year, went to the Camellia Bowl, got a bunch of UAB folks coming in. Johnson, incomplete, little pinball job to the sideline, 3rd and 20 now, and that's one of those UAB transfers, Bobby Baker.
And you know what they're doing now. This is a much better job by the defense. They're saying these underneath routes or these out routes, we're going to jump them. So Bobby Baker right there, you saw Bruce Dukes almost get one. If I'm Charlotte, I would go away from that, maybe out and up, get them, or do some things where they were going earlier on those slant routes.
Third and long for Johnson, intercepted by Baker.
What did I say? I said you have to get something and get some momentum. That's the 4th turnover for Charlotte. Charlotte's going to allow Georgia State to stay in this game. Nice job by Bobby Baker of playing center field. Matt Johnson with the throw that's just too high. Receiver in the middle of the field but can't quite get it to him. You got to play clean when you have the lead, and if you're Georgia State, you have to capitalize. Sudden change offense right here for me. I'm going after it. Attack.
Second pick of the day for Baker, who was hosted on his visit by Joseph Peterson and Taurus Batiste. And talking to Trent Miles, he said those guys did a great job of just being good guides to get those guys to come here to Georgia State, and it's paying off right now.
Yeah, it really is. And now you get the ball back, and you can't have this. You cannot have this. You got to play clean. Play before. You can see right there, almost. I like that. And he was right, because they read that. They said, okay, they're going to go to out routes right away and attack us. I'm going to be the safety down instead of safety high and make the play on the ball.
Loss of 6 on the poor snap. Arbuckle, they screen it out for Neal. Kyler Neal, the sophomore, swarmed under. He only gets 1 thanks to Caleb Clayton Molby, the transfer from Georgia Military.
I'm impressed with the Charlotte defense, how they fly to the football. That's the one thing, Jason, that I've seen. We talked about what would be better about your defense, and that's the one thing to a coach they all said. Talked to him before the game, a couple of them. Aaron Curry, who's a defensive line coach, he said, we will fly to the football.
Wake Forest standout Aaron Curry had some time in the NFL, too.
First-round draft pick, played a few years in the league, and he coaches like he plays, Brad Lambert says.
On 3rd and 15, short pass for Bateman. Set up about 4th and 9 from the 33, so decision time for Georgia State. Down 3 scores, field goal will help you here.
What pushed you back? The snap, the initial snap. The moment, every time they've had the ball and chances, this is what happens. It looks like they're going to punt it, even though, no, he's a kicker. He kicks and punts. But he looked like he was lining up the punt, but he has a strong leg.
We saw Lutz hit from 58 routinely in warm-ups today.
With 10 yards to spare each time.
This one from 50. Lutz is good.
That was strong.
So Will Lutz gets Georgia State on the board. 2-score game in Atlanta.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
That's Charles Arbuckle's in-ground swimming pool. It's actually the Georgia Aquarium.
I walked by there this morning. It was getting full. Yeah, I walked by. I didn't go in, but I walked by.
But maybe you'd take in some of the fish before the game. You're a man of culture.
No, I did not. But I was going to go about it. Yeah, I thought about it.
Manta rays are really your bag. Lutz just hit from 50.
He's got a strong leg.
How about it? No chance for Duke. Well, we told you Lutz has that strong leg. He hit the crossbar from 54 last year. This one goes from 50.
And it's true. And what did Trent Miles say? He said, hey, if that's 63, I'd be willing to let him go for it.
Yep.
He feels that strongly indoors because there's no wind unless they open the doors.
Second longest in program history. You are stuck on that wind tunnel thing.
I'm telling you. I played there.
Is David Treadwell one of your friends? I mean, what?
No, I'm just telling you it happened on a consistent basis.
Phillips to the outside on first down. Strong run for Khalif Phillips.
I think with Phillips, you get fooled by him running inside. You don't know how fast he is, but that wiggle on the outside gets him loose. And the offensive lineman, he's a volume back, meaning as he runs more, look at all that room. He has to make 2 guys miss. He's able to do that and get outside. But the more carries he gets, the better he gets.
First 1,000-yard rusher in Charlotte history, went for 22 on that carry. And now Caleb Ringer knocks down Bowie after a short gain on first down.
Remember what I said last time, run the football, and they started throwing it around and almost got it picked off a couple of times, and then they did get it picked. Now they're running the football.
Bowie, the West Virginia transfer. He's a shifty runner, too. Third and very short coming.
Offensive linemen, I'm going to tell you, Jason, love it when they're in a position like this and they can get the guys on skates. You see the defensive linemen starting to put their hands on their hips, a little bit tired, but they can lean on them and just push them around, and that's what they're trying to do.
Well, the down marker's wrong. It has 4th down over on the far side, so they're going to stop play for the moment. As you see, Charlotte's piled up 121 yards on the ground against a Georgia State team that was last in the FBS last year, allowing over 300 a game, 303.
Jeff Mullen, his history at West Virginia, they could run and throw as well, whether when he was with Rich Rodriguez, but you can see here clearly, now they're going to throw it, but in a dangerous area again.
He wanted Duke, and Caleb Ringer knocked it away.
I didn't like that call at all. You've run the football effectively. You've gotten it in this position. Second and short, yeah, I could see that. But third and short, run the football.
What do you think, early?
That's a dangerous throw. I think he got there right in time.
All right, 4th and 1. Brad Lambert's going to go for it. Charlotte's first FBS game, playing with house money here. Phillips picking his way for the first down.
And I'm not surprised that they did this, because when you get past the 50 and you've had good momentum with the ball, go ahead on. Because all you're going to do, you've really stopped Georgia State. I'm not surprised by that at all. I'm surprised by the call on third down, excuse me.
Again, Trent Miles' team has trouble getting off the field, 3rd and 4th down. Johnson goes for it all. First down for Duke. Lost his man, incomplete. Taurus Batiste closed to save the day.
He did. Matt Johnson gave too much air. Sometimes we talk about quarterbacks trying to fire it in there. That's one where you cannot leave as much air on the ball. But great job by Taurus Batiste staying with the football and not letting Austin Duke catch that. Great hustle play by Batiste. And good job by Khalif Phillips of picking up on the outside, but nice job. Matt Johnson wants that throw back.
Duke had a 63-yard touchdown earlier. High snap, and Johnson has to swallow it. Down he goes. Alonzo McGee, the UAB transfer.
Again, another high snap. That's about 3 of them for today. And it takes your timing away, especially with the blitz. You see that? You don't have time to try to go with the zone read when the ball is high. That takes a couple of seconds away from you. Matt Johnson is fortunate that he held on to the football.
It's Wolfgang Zackerl, the redshirt sophomore right guard, who's down, who played in every game as a true freshman. They redshirted him last year, and Charlotte did that. A couple guys pick up the extra year for FBS play, and Zackerl will walk off now.
See Zackerl right in the middle of your frame, big 77. Just looks like a shoulder. Just goes limp.
He was in the process of, it looked like holding Trey Payne. Zackerl comes off. So 3rd and 17 for the 49ers. They have to get all the way down to the Georgia State 31. Loads of time. Johnson got it, first down. Warpay Kofa, the redshirt freshman.
Out of Independence High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. A lot of time. Look at this. You take the play, no one there. Pocket integrity there, and able to get the ball down the field on 3rd and long. You got to have pressure. That's the thing that Georgia State really struggled with last year. Only 12 sacks they were able to create.
Johnson keeps it himself and zigzagging down to the 10. 2nd and short coming up after the 30-yard hit, the first career catch for Kofa.
Nice job by Johnson of staying in the pocket, but very nice job by his offensive line.
Nate Davis has come in to play right guard for Zackerl. Phillips on a last-second decision has the first down. Boy, Johnson got his clock cleaned.
You become a free runner when you have the ball like that and you're going in the zone read and you're taught now as a defensive end. Clean it up. Just try to hit somebody. Right here at the mesh point. You see right there? Hey, he's a guy that could have the ball if he comes out on the other side.
Bowie in, the West Virginia transfer. And he's down behind the line. They read that perfectly with Alonzo McGee again. Another tackle for loss, 2nd down.
Bad read by Matt Johnson on that one, because if he takes that ball, he may be walking into the end zone. Yeah, he had an opportunity on that one to pull that ball out. Yeah, he just couldn't read it quick enough. He has been good with those, but that time he probably wants that one back.
Charlotte trying to punch it in and avoid field goal fever continuing. Johnson, dangerous pass, 3rd down. He wanted Bolus, his reserve tight end.
Danger Will Robinson over the middle of the field. You have to be careful. Bolus in for Richard Murphy. They have struggled scoring points since they got off to such a hot start.
They are 10 of 14 on 3rd down. Bowie out of the backfield. Blockers in front. Bowie stopped at the 5. Bobby Baker again has had quite the day after enrolling in January and transferring from UAB. 4th down here.
Huge play by Bobby Baker in space. There was blocking. You see guys out front. It looks like it's going to happen for him. Uriah LeMay, Austin Duke, Bolus out blocking. You have to make a tackle. Nice job by Bobby Baker.
So Brewer on again. This time from 22. And a flag first. Lots of flags.
Looks like there might be substitution.
It's backup quarterback Lee McNeil, the holder.
And he's dropped to the 3rd position because Brooks Barton, the redshirt freshman, moved ahead of him. And he was a starter last year. Lee McNeil played some good games for the Charlotte team.
Went 2-1 the last 3 games of the year.
Illegal substitution defense. 12 players in the formation. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
Those newfangled microphones will get you every time. So Brewer is going to go ahead and kick. And Trent Miles has to feel like his team can't get out of its own way at points today.
The substitution things in the early part of the year, you work on them and they still are bugaboos at the first week of the season.
Brewer knocks it through. First FBS game for Charlotte. Brewer is taking center stage, 23-6 49ers. All the way back to 1977, the 49ers basketball program in its first ever NCAA tournament, maybe the best athletic time for the 49ers. They made it to the Final Four under head coach Lee Rhodes. Cornbread Maxwell, your guy.
Oh, yeah. Silky smooth, but the shorts, man. What's up with the shorts? How short they are.
You don't have those in your closet?
No, I got rid of those a long time ago.
By the way, that Final Four was here in Atlanta at the Omni back in '77. Lee Rhodes, by the way, as a postscript, left 2 years later and went to Purdue.
Okay.
But they don't talk about that very much at Charlotte. Georgia State down 17 in the opener this year. And we shall see what kind of offense the Panthers have in the tank. Scored about 22 a game last year. Only 6 so far today. Avery Sweeting on the return. He's a speed burner. There is a flag down. Sweeting's doing some geometry.
He is running like my former teammate Clarence Verdun, and that's going to come back. There's multiple penalties. We used to call Clarence CNN because he was open all day and he would tell the quarterbacks.
Well,
he was a great returner in his own right, but he was always open.
Here's a call from Mr. Hillier.
During the return, holding 34 receiving team. The penalty's half the distance. 1st down.
Here's a triple axle for you. But
he's going to spin. And I've seen returners do this, and you're just like, get down. Come on, I'm going to do it again. Get down. He knows. Get down. No, he keeps going. Get down, please.
Well, you can't blame him. I mean, he's got such speed. You get him in the open field.
He's one of the fastest guys on the team. And look, he's smiling now. He said, I made like everybody miss.
Twice.
If you put me in a walk-in closet 10 by 10, I would have got out.
First down for Georgia State off the penalty just outside the 5 for the senior quarterback Arbuckle. Under pressure and incomplete. Looking for Neal's 2nd down. We were talking about the 77 Charlotte team recently. How about Ron and R.J. Hunter? 1st-round draft pick is here taking in the game.
Well, I saw Ron up here and his son, and Ron and I go way back to Indianapolis when he was at IUPUI, and it's good to see him and have his success and his son. They're both a big staple here with Georgia State.
Celtics took him 28th overall. Slant pass for Boyd. And another flag in. It's nice to see the elder Hunter, by the way, not falling off a stool or anything like that. He's had a rough go of it on the sideline of the tournament.
When you hurt yourself stomping your feet, you know.
That's right.
Oh, man.
He's got a friend that's a tailor, though, to help him with that new pair of pants after he tore the one up at IUPUI.
He coaches with a lot of passion. That's the one thing I'll say. He was even like that at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis.
Well done.
IUPUI.
Should have just went there first.
Pooey. But that's one of the things about building. Trent Miles has been a builder. Ron Hunter has been a program. And I think that's the one thing that Georgia State's trying to do is build a program just like Charlotte has done over there.
Offside, 23 defense. The penalty is declined. Third down.
It was a long conference just to tell us that it was going to be declined and it was offside. It took a while.
We got it straightened out at this point. But it was. Third down 1. Neal finds his way through. First down and then some. Best run of the day for Kyler Neal, and there may be extra.
Well, I thought they were going to throw a flag there, but I'm glad. It's just, I think what they're trying to do is make sure this game doesn't get chippy. And Kyler Neal with a nice run gets outside, nobody there. And then at the very end, right there, you're going to see him get outside. Boom, he's there. And he's moving down the field quickly.
By the way, Devin Pearson got lucky there wasn't a flag at the end of the play, and he was jawing
Yes.
even further post-play. Pump and go. Arbuckle hit, got away from Holt. Incomplete.
Yeah, he was very fortunate because it looked like he slung him down at the end. They sometimes call that, and then he was jawing after it.
It's one of those, maybe you go to your sideline and say, play for another day. I'm fortunate that I didn't draw the marker the first time around.
Yeah, don't give them free yards. But that's the one thing you do when you blitz and you come after people. That's what you have sometimes on the other side.
Long throw across the way, Glenn Smith. And stood up out of bounds. Third down coming up tonight. ESPNU primetime college football returns. Michigan State and Western Michigan, 7 o'clock exclusively on ESPNU, and watch ESPN, part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. Western Michigan has 6 returning all-MAC offensive players. It may not be a walkover tonight for the Spartans.
I hope you're right, but at Waldo Stadium, you got Connor Cook coming in. You got some real key, all those offensive linemen, whether it's Jack Allen or Jack Conlon. I think it's going to be a little bit tough for Western Michigan.
Too much for Smith. Fourth down coming up.
And that defense, Shalik Calhoun, you got some players over there at Michigan State. Mark D'Antonio's done a nice job with those guys. Jack Conklin, excuse me.
You don't think Tony Scheffler's alma mater is going to play it at Michigan State tonight? I think there's a chance.
Yeah. I wish I could be on your side with that one. I just don't think so.
Glass half empty, Arbuckle.
No, I'm just saying Michigan State is a team that's really in position to do some things this year.
Possible championship team?
Next week is going to be key for them with Oregon. And then in conference play, you think it's going to really come down to them in Ohio State.
Neesmith got a nice bounce in stride. Neesmith, and they blow it dead. They say he was down.
Oh, he looked like he was going to try to take that one to the house.
He'll think about that for a moment on the sideline. Charlotte's offense done the trick, though. Brad Lambert's team leading in its first FBS game. All right, left side of your screen, Corey Neesmith on this punt return for Charlotte. He had open field. The officials blew it dead. It looks like they're suggesting fair catch off this wave.
He's telling guys to move away, get away from the ball. And then all of a sudden, he just takes off and they blow the play dead.
Could have been a score. Instead, Charlotte will go from inside its 20 with Bowie on first down, and Caleb Ringer, the nephew of former Michigan State Spartan Javon Ringer, in there with Alonzo McGee. Second down on the way, and Charlotte trying to milk some clock.
We've called McGee's name quite a bit.
Bowie again slicing through, and that's the second time we've seen the umpire get hit. First down, Charlotte.
Umpires a dangerous job. They get behind the line of scrimmage and they take it. We use them as, if you're a tight end, you use them as a a rub when you're running routes, but they can get right in the middle of that because they're right behind the line of scrimmage.
What's he going to do there, too?
Yeah,
Kenneth Huffines, the umpire, looked like he was in position.
Yes.
Play just came into him. Johnson takes off and gets stood up. Ringer blasted him.
Ringer and McGee have we've called their name a lot. Joseph Peterson is the guy we usually call and say he's the key person. But number 11, Blue, Ringer, is going to bring a whop. Hello. That's what his uncle probably did to him when he was younger, to say, are you going to be ready to play when you get older? Like my uncle used to do in the backyard.
Well, his uncle's got to be happy that he decommitted from Michigan. He was originally going to be a Wolverine, then ended up here at Georgia State.
No little brother from him. Huh? Okay. All right.
Third down on the Bowie run. Baylor, SMU, Michigan State, Western Michigan coming up, and then late night Boise State, one of those group of 5 teams that you might talk about as a possibility in the New Year's 6.
They've lost some people at Boise State, but they always seem to play well. Chris Peterson, former coach there for a number of years. Be interesting to watch that matchup.
3rd and 8 for Johnson off his back foot. Has Neesmith, and he sniffs out the marker. We'll see where the spot is for Neesmith.
Carnell Hobson almost gets the bull rush and takes the guard or the center back into Matt Johnson, but it was a nice job by Neesmith of really getting after it. Watch 55 Blue, which is going to come in and just bull rush. I mean, just really almost take Nate Davis and Matt Johnson down at the same time. That's why they don't pick up the first down. That pressure there was unbelievable.
So punt time for Arthur Hart for Charlotte, who allowed only 3 punt returns all of last year. Strong kick there. Fair catch by Avery Sweeting, and Georgia State will start from inside its own 20 after a 46-yard punt. Mentioned Boise State and the group of 5 teams that are looking to get to the New Year's 6. You talked about BYU earlier, on the road at Nebraska this week as a possible upset alert.
Well, BYU is in a position that with their schedule, the way it's laid out, they can do some things. I still think they are one of those teams that if they can start fast early, they play UCLA, they've got some other games on their schedule, they can really make a difference. And Gunnar Kiel with Cincinnati, strong arm player who bounced around, didn't know where he was going to go. Finally in a home with Tommy Tuberville, great strong arm, but can they play defense well at Cincinnati to help them out on offense?
First down for Georgia State, 3-score game for the Panthers, who won 1 game last year, their opener here. Down the seam for Sweeting, and he's got him. Big play, Arbuckle to Sweeting, the track star. First down, Georgia State.
At some point, we knew that was going to be called because Sweeting is so fast, and that was a perfect time to bring it out and get the ball down the field. Nice throw by Nick Arbuckle. Great catch by Sweeting.
Out of Brunswick, Georgia, the former state qualifier in the 100 and 200. Neal on first down, and it's been 2-3 yards on first down, but nothing more today.
Well, if you can get big plays like that, Greg Cunningham was in coverage. They're going to try to get that matchup again at some point. And when they do, you know they're going to attack with Sweeting.
Second down for the senior Arbuckle. Time to throw down the sideline. Good loft. Incomplete. Nice recovery by Anthony Covington to keep it away from Davis. Third down.
You know, Nick is making the right reads. You can see clearly what's going on. That it's a nice job. The ball should have been thrown further out. And as a defensive back, you have a chance to go get it.
A little early, maybe?
Yeah, no, I think that was a good call. That was a good no call there. But that would have been a touchdown if Arbuckle even gets it out a little bit further. Like this.
Sideline again. Incomplete.
See, they're going after Charlotte's man-to-man coverage, and they can see it, but that's one of those that Nick wants back. The first one, he threw it too short. That one, he goes a little bit too far.
So Goldilocks would suggest that the next one's going to be just right. This is possible field goal range with the leg that Lutz has. Instead, they're going to go for it. 4th and 7. Eight to snap it. Arbuckle to run. Very close. Depends on the spot. That far side official looks like he's got him short. We'll see.
Initially he came up and it looked like it was going to be perfectly aligned for the first down. This is going to be close.
Signal is first down, Georgia State.
When you watch Nick, he's going to get there, man-to-man coverage, everybody back deep to try to stop those underneath or those routes. And he gets down the field. And I think Charlotte is going to ask to at least see a measurement before they give him this first down.
The marker was squarely at the 31.
It looks short.
He's short. First down, Charlotte.
My naked eye said that when they walked out and came to the ball, I thought it was going to be short. And for Charlotte, it made sense to say, hey, let's get a measurement.
Well, Brandon Banks and this defense get the stop. The redshirt junior out of High Point, North Carolina, and Southwest Guilford High School, who works on cars in his spare time, does a little mechanics defensively for Charlotte to get the ball back.
I wonder if he ever goes to the market there in High Point, furniture market.
They can make some furniture over there. They have the world's largest dresser in High Point, North Carolina.
That's true.
Swing it out to Duke. And there's his agility on display, shaking tackles. Second down coming up. Saturday afternoon college football back on ESPNU. The UTEP Miners against number 18 Arkansas. 3:30 Eastern time exclusively on ESPNU. And watch ESPN, part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. Hard to believe this is the first time Brett Bielema's Razorbacks have been ranked since he's been there. Charlotte willing to run the ball. Julian Laurent with the stop. Third down coming up.
Yeah, it's been one of those things now. There's a different center in the game. Thomas LaBianca's out. Jared Barr, I don't know if he was injured. But new center, number 50.
6 starts last year for Barr, the redshirt junior. Under a minute to go, third quarter. Charlotte playing its first ever FBS opponent. They'll play at Kentucky later on in the year for SEC fans. Johnson hit and dropped. Alonzo McGee and the ball's loose. Bobby Baker, another turnover. 2 picks and he plucks this fumble.
You got to protect the football. Nice job by Alonzo McGee of getting there and pulling the ball out. Matt Johnson, if you're running the zone read or you're running with the football, ball security is key. And no, he was not down. Alonzo McGee is able to pull that ball out. Good job by Bobby Baker. Good job by Alonzo McGee. And Carnell Hobson looks like he's the one that gets that hand in there to knock it out. Watch 55. Watch that hand come in at the last second. And he's sitting on Alonzo McGee, so he's not quite down. They may look at this in the booth, but I think he's going to be down, or not down. Ball comes out. Fumble recovery for Georgia State.
Question being, will they stop play for it? They're watching all the plays upstairs. Will they stop it? If they don't, if it stands, that's Baker's 4th turnover. 2 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions for the UAB transfer.
He has just been around that football.
From the 39 for Georgia State, short field. Taz Bateman, the sophomore, showing the speed. First down and more for Bateman. Brandon Dozier, one of our impact players, made the stop, 16 yards downfield, first down.
You said it earlier because Charlotte finished, and I talked about it too. They weren't finishing drives, and you leave a ball club like Georgia State that has some high-powered offense and been in games where they've been behind. You cannot let the momentum get back in their favor.
Arbuckle, screen pass, Rutgers' second catch goes for negative yardage, thanks to Devin Pierce, the redshirt sophomore. Third quarter over. Georgia State 17 down, but Bobby Baker, the JUCO teammate of his quarterback, Nick Arbuckle, with a pick. How about a fumble recovery? That close to the next one. He made it happen here. Another pick for Baker. 23-6. Georgia State trying to come back behind its junior. "48 games this Labor Day weekend, and maybe the best news is the bands are back for college football season." Injured Charlotte player Thomas LaBianca, the center. So we'll see if Barr stays in when Charlotte gets it back. 2nd and 14 for Georgia State. And Arbuckle incomplete off the hands of Boyd, who might have been looking upfield. 3rd down.
Yeah, eyes off ball means ball hits chest and goes up in the air usually, and I think that's what happens. Nice throw by Arbuckle. Yep, trying to body catch it, and that's where you're taught right there. Go ahead on and pluck it out of the air.
18 of 30 for Arbuckle today, 162 yards. Second-year starter for Georgia State, 3rd and long. That just fell out of his hand.
Like it just slipped out of his hand. Let's make mention also Donovan Harden, who is not able to play, is a guy that had 60 receptions last year, 7 touchdowns. So that's a key weapon that's missing for this Georgia State offense.
So they turned to Lutz on the field goal. It'll be 44 officially. He's already hit from 50 today. That was straight on.
Yeah, it was true.
To make it a 2-score game. Crossbar.
I'm wondering, did that get tipped? That didn't come out real solid. And I think if it is, 6'5" Desmond Floyd might be the guy that got to it. Transfer from Wake Forest. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it got tipped by Desmond Floyd or Ogunjobi. Just a hand. It comes out. Somebody's hand got in there because there was penetration to knock that back. Because that's a strong leg kicker, right? And he almost still got it in.
He did, just barely missed as Phillips charges forward for 1.5 yards. 2nd down and long coming up. Now Charlotte, higher level, speed should be elevated. You're up 17. Now it's time to, what do you do? What do you think?
Close the deal.
More than 4 players in the backfield at the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Go back 5 here.
Yeah, and stay away from those penalties. Remember at halftime we said they had no penalties. And we're starting to see them now do some things that are uncharacteristic for how they played the first half. But also, too, the turnovers. They're giving Georgia State every opportunity to come back in this game. Protect the football, continue to score, use clock is what I would say.
Another high snap. And Khalif Phillips gets 2. 2nd down and 13 coming up. So 2 centers. Still, the high snap is an issue.
It is, and one of the reasons why you have Julian Laurent or Jalen Orange lined up in the nose guard. Those are 2 big human beings, one at 325, the other at about 290. So they're right on your head. You see big 91 right there? Played a year at the New Mexico Military Academy out of Toronto, Ontario. He's battling whoever's playing center every single down. Johnson rolls away from the blitz. Wanted to set and throw instead.
He gets a couple of yards to Quesman Kelly, the redshirt sophomore, along with Joseph Peterson. Third down on the way as Peterson seems like he's always involved. A career tackle leader for Georgia State.
And Georgia State's defensive line has played a lot better in the second half. They've done a nice job. They're rotating guys in and out, making sure they stay fresh. They're going with their nickel package now to try to get after Matt Johnson.
Charlotte 1 of 5, third down this half. Still well over 50% for the day. Johnson runs, and Peterson hugs him down. McKendy Cheridor there, so it's Cheridor, the sophomore, the former outside linebacker, fourth down.
Talk to Tony Samuel, his coach. He says he is a strong, athletic young man, has a high potential. And I think what Johnson was trying to do, it was man coverage, single safety high. If he got by Cheridor, he might have been running for the first down, if not more. Good play by him. He was out early, catching passes, doing different things. And I asked Tony Samuel, how high is the ceiling? He said, it's as high as this dome. He said, this kid is an outstanding young athlete.
Fair catch for Sweeting. Crowd wanted a flag on the 33-yard punt. No return. Just outside the College Football Hall of Fame. Moved here to Atlanta, Georgia. New experience every time. And Georgia State trying to come back at home. Saturday Night Football, number 20 Wisconsin, number 3 Alabama, Saturday at 8 ABC, streaming live also at home and on the go on Watch ESPN. Bama quarterback situation. What you got, Buck?
Jake Coker, Alec Morris, David Cornwell, Blake Barnett. Who's it going to be? I mean, I think this defense is going to be much improved. They've lost some on offense. Derrick Henry comes back. But who is Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban ultimately going to decide on the quarterback?
We saw Blake Barnett last year at the Under Armour All-America game. He was tremendous as that running game has been snuffed out well. Neal dropped by James Middleton, the reserve junior. Second and long coming up.
They said they were going to be much better because of the guys that they had last year that were out. Brandon Banks was out for some time. Devon Johnson. And so James Middleton was a starter last year, and now he's moved to the backup position, but you got to play 8 or 9 deep on the defensive line.
Nike Height first catch across the 50 and a first down, gain of 13 for the senior from here in Atlanta.
One of those UAB transfers as well. Nice first down for Georgia State. Good momentum for this offense. Let's see what Nick Arbuckle, is able to do now that he's got past the 50-yard line.
Auburn in this building tomorrow night, okay?
Yeah. Jeremy Johnson and company. Nick's gone.
That's right. Davis, gain of 8, second down coming up.
They're going to back up a little bit now. They were playing straight man, get in your face, and you can see now even Desmond Floyd dropping back in the coverage, the linebacker position, trying to make sure they keep those receivers in front of them.
Second and short, Arbuckle. Taz Bateman, the sophomore, to the second level. First down inside the 30.
They were really excited about Taz Bateman and what he was going to be able to do. And he gets to that second level, and you just don't know what he's going to. He probably doesn't know what move he's going to make, but the defense clearly doesn't know because he's made a whole lot of guys miss today.
Antonio DeAndre Bateman out of Inglewood, California, likes to be called Taz. On first down inside the 25, second down coming up.
Well, I lived in Inglewood my junior year in college. 333 West Queen Street. So, Taz
property
Bateman.
value just went up over on Queen Street.
Right down the street from the Forum.
And a whistle, injured Charlotte player. It's Daquan Lucas, who has played in every game in Charlotte 49er history, the junior linebacker, down.
Yeah, Charlotte is able to go with a 3-4 look or a 4-3 look, and Daquan Lucas is in that mix along with Nick Cook. Hopefully he's okay. Led the team had 8 tackles for loss last season.
This is a defense that gave up 32 points a game last year at the FCS level, 479 yards a game, and they've got 6 only on the board against him today. A big improvement. Matt Wallerstedt in his first season over from Texas Tech, the new defensive coordinator, has been playing well today.
Well, I talked about it. There's 3 off defensive linemen alone that were gone last year, and they were key people for him. Clayton Mulby was also out. Nick Cook, for some points, they've had a lot of guys that were out that they knew would come back, along with the additions of guys like Desmond Floyd. So they're playing with house money, basically. And they've got some guys that got a lot of experience last year who are also accustomed to the speeds of the game. Now they have to elevate that at the FBS level.
Georgia State down 3 scores, 2nd and 7. Over the middle, incomplete. Boy, Arbuckle just hung out Sweeting, and Dozier cracked him.
Yeah, Avery Sweeting is going to go say, hey, can you please put that a little bit lower for me so I can make all the moves, but this is going to be a tough shot he's going to take. And right in between 2 guys, and Dozier is a guy that will come up and hit you.
So Sweeting, the senior who on a punt return earlier ran almost the length of the football field horizontally, comes off. 3rd down. Down the sideline, Bateman is under it.
That was just right. That was just right. Going back to your earlier, going too short, too long, but he saw the matchup, and Taz Bateman, who's given this offense some spark in the run game, gets out on a wheel route, and a nice throw by Nick Arbuckle, getting it out there, dropping it in the bucket to Taz Bateman out of Inglewood, California. It's 2 California kids hooking up. Look at this right here. He has the pressure in his face. You go to that back pylon, almost sleep perfectly. You run drills like that where you can throw it into the bucket. Nice job by the 2 California kids here in Georgia.
They got Bateman on the linebacker, Cook, and he beat him down the field. 10-point game.
They call that a mismatch, I think, which it was.
You experienced some of those as a tight end, didn't you? Bateman, wheel route. Georgia State's first touchdown in 2015. By the way, if this 10-point game looks familiar, Georgia State in the opener last year, about a year to the day, a week later, was down 9 points. Joel Ruiz touchdown. Will Lutz, 4 seconds left, drills the field goal to win, and the crowd goes wild. 38-37, Georgia State over Abilene Christian. That was their only win for the Panthers last year. They lost 11 in a row to close, and Lutz and Georgia State trying to do the same in the first game this year.
I call that game, and you could tell the excitement. They had to come from behind against a good, solid Abilene Christian team. Let's see what's going to happen here. Will Charlotte be able to hold on to this lead, or will Georgia State be able to come storming back?
A lot of time, 9:39. Neesmith. Discretion the better part of valor. Duke tells him not to come out. This drive for Charlotte, what are the goals here?
Well, protect the football. Get the snap. Well, first off, make sure the snap is manageable, and then just get some first downs. You want to get as many first downs to kill some time and try to score 3 or 7, but use clock right here.
Johnson on the keeper. Not a lot there. Gain of a yard. Joseph Peterson, the leading tackler. 2nd down on the way.
Johnson better protect that football. It looked awful close to coming out. Joseph Peterson always gets there with the bang. 2nd team All Sun Belt last year, on the Lombardi watch list as well.
Short passing game. Austin Duke with the speed out of bounds. Now the question is, Charles, you're up 10. How long do you play hurry up?
Well, I'd say get away from hurry up. They're not going to get in a huddle. They're not going to do that, but they're going to spread out. But the most important thing is getting a first down. So this is where they struggle in this half, in this quarter in particular. 3rd and 4th quarter, they've really struggled picking up first downs.
Still 10 out of 18 for the game. 1 for 6 in the second half on third down against the worst defense on third down last year in the FBS. Pressure didn't get there, and Johnson has a completion for the first down to Trent Bostic. His first grab has Charlotte moving the sticks.
And see, they took all the time off the clock. They didn't hurry up and rush. They took all the time they needed off that clock and then picked up the first down. And I would anticipate that they would still do that. No, they didn't.
Phillips turns his back, short gain.
You know, we talked about this too. Some teams that go fast don't quite understand how to just tempo it down. They think fast, I got to go fast, gets you in trouble sometimes. So let's see how this drive plays out. What's happening now, they can't go fast because they have to wait for the official to get out of the way for substitutions to happen. So it's forcing them to slow down even if they don't want to.
Phillips came off, buoys in, and he's dropped in the backside by Alonzo McGee, the UAB transfer. Third and long here for Charlotte.
Yeah, this drive hasn't been as clean for them as they like, and now they're in a position where you see the substitution patterns coming in again. This is going to slow them down, and this is the area where Matt Johnson has to protect the football.
Couple of picks today. 7.5 to play.
Better know where number 2 is, Bobby Baker, because he's been a takeaway machine. Right over by the 50.
Top left of your screen, yep. Now Charlotte lets the clock tick. Johnson. Flag coming down. McGee got held. And Georgia State takes Johnson down anyway with Peterson.
Didn't look like any rhythm to this drive for Charlotte. Compounding the mistakes.
Holding, 73 offense. Penalties decline, fourth down.
So punt time for Charlotte. 10-point game, 7 to go as Covington gets the penalty, who wore the honorary number 49 jersey pregame today.
He's been struggling a little bit with his knee. He's one of their key guys, but he's had some injuries in the preseason and fall camp. Holding on the outside right there, and then Matt Johnson trying to get around the side. But it would have still been too short for a first down.
Chance for Cam Myers to return this punt from Hart, his second of the day. Fair catch for Myers. 37-yard punt, no return. Georgia State from inside its 25 trying to mount a comeback at home. Sunday, 8 a.m. to noon, ESPNU brings you college football Sunday. Heisman hopefuls, championship contenders, maybe Charles Arbuckle. College football Sunday, the only show that ranks them all exclusively on ESPNU and watch ESPN. Nick Arbuckle on first down covers it up.
That was a covered sack. Clearly nobody to throw to, and Nick was looking for a place to fall. First run, and then he just said, let me get down. Good job by that secondary for Charlotte.
Much deeper unit this year,
yeah.
They say. They've got just more bodies defensively. Some guys back from injury, transfers from high major programs. Second down, Arbuckle down the sideline. A lot of hand fighting and a flag down as Nike Height was engaged with Tank Norman, the junior.
Yeah, Tank had him locked up and just was going to take him over to the sideline and walk him over to the bench.
Pass interference, 14 defense, penalties 15 yards, first down.
There was no question about that for the junior out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. You know, he was locked up, literally, with the receiver, and he was, just, like I said, going to take him to the sideline, and you cannot do that.
Normally, ushers wear red sport coats, not white football jerseys.
Well, he had him locked up. Trying to, I mean, that is what they're doing this year. They're being aggressive, and they're asking their guys on the outside, you got to lock up with some of these speed guys. If we don't get to them, you got to make a play.
Under 6 to go, all 3 timeouts for Georgia State. He's got Bateman out of the backfield, and Taz Bateman sets up second down and short, gain of 7. Brandon Banks the stop.
The other thing they're doing, Charlotte, is they're showing 3 and then bringing Nick Cook down, Desmond Floyd, looking like they may come with pressure, dropping 8, and then sometimes they are bringing pressure or going to a 4-man front.
A little side to side from Bateman there, never really picked a hole. 3rd and 1 on the way.
They said that's the versatility from Desmond Floyd, who's 6'5", 271. He can drop down into the defensive end mode. They can slide over, go 4 down linemen instead of 3.
Sideline again, Height driven off the ball, flag comes in.
That's going to be on Height. Looked like he pushed off right there. Watch 5 if we see this replay. There was no touch by Tank Norman. Nakia Height looked like he pushed off on him. Unless Tank Norman was grabbing him, it did not look like he was the one that should get this infraction or penalty.
You got the thesaurus out early this year.
Trying to.
It's only week 1 now. You're infracting.
A plethora of words I will use. My wife hates when I do that.
Pass interference, number 5 offense. Penalty 15 yards, 3rd down.
Little redemption for Tank.
He feels vindicated, doesn't he? But it was Height at the very end of this. You're going to see push that arm out. Whenever you do that as a receiver, you know you're going to get the penalty. As a tight end, we're used to getting inside, pushing with chicken wings and doing other things. You cannot extend those arms.
It's an interesting call there, too. You could have declined the penalty and set up 4th down and short. Instead, they take it, driving back 3rd down and long. 17 to go. Arbuckle is dropped.
That's belief in your defense, knowing that they can come with you. And then James Middleton, who I said earlier is a former starter when they lost all those guys up front. Look, watch, they're locking guys up. They're getting Nick Cook involved, and then they have over the top underneath. Everybody's covered. Nick Arbuckle has nowhere to throw, and big James Middleton, oh, I got a sack. Thank you. I wanted them to not decline that penalty so I can give me a sack.
Arbuckle bought his offensive line donuts last year for a sackless game. They're going to go hungry for breakfast tomorrow. A couple of them on that drive. And punt time for Lutz with just over 4 to go. So 1st down for Charlotte, 52-yard punt. Let's see what Brendan Fitzgerald has in the studio. Fitz.
Hey, Jason, about 15 minutes away from action getting underway in Kalamazoo. Connor Cook led the Big Ten in passing last season. He'll look to lead the 5th-ranked Spartans into Waldo Stadium and get it done 22 minutes from now. Guys, back to you.
Fitz, thank you. As we said, Michigan State went on the road to open the season 7 years ago, lost at Cal. It's not the same type of test, but it's a strong returning core for Western Michigan.
It is, and I like what P.J. Fleck is doing there. I just think Michigan State is one of those teams that they know what's at stake, and they've talked about it all offseason. They're going to be physical, and I'm looking forward to that game. I just don't think Western Michigan has enough for that Michigan State ball club.
Phillips on 1st down, keeps the legs churning. 2nd down on the way. Connor Cook in Kalamazoo sounds like the newest Dr. Seuss book. We're going to have 7 o'clock tonight.
Well, Anish Shroff and I were talking about it. You think about Michigan State, you don't think about quarterback U, right? They've had some guys come out. Drew Stanton,
Timeout Georgia State here.
Yeah, they've had some guys here over the last few years, and if Connor Cook comes out, he will probably be a 1st-round pick. They've got starters in the league that are now playing. Houston Texans, I mean, they've got guys. So you don't think Michigan State quarterback U, but they've had some guys coming out here the last few years.
Charlotte trying to put away a 10-point victory. That's Mark Hogan, a Charlotte grad assistant who's a former linebacker at Georgia State, but he is in the Charlotte 49er record books. First, though, he was one of the first players at Georgia State that 2010 season. Came over to Charlotte and opened up that program with this second play from scrimmage. An interception for a touchdown against the Campbell Camels. It went from 32 yards away. And a touchdown from Mark Hogan, who will always be attached to that play for Charlotte 49er football lore. Bowie with a big gash. And the former West Virginia Mountaineer trying to put it away. 22-yard gain.
Man, there was no one there for Bowie. Great blocking by Jamal Crawford and Covington, on that side. Casey Perry on the left side of that line of scrimmage. They opened up a hole, and Bowie was gone. And those are kind of plays that kind of put teams away. Let's see what Charlotte, now they're slowing down. They're using clock.
2 timeouts for Georgia State. That run may not finish the deal, but it certainly puts it a lot closer to closure.
It really does.
Movement at the line. Bowie finds his seam. That's a nifty run for Bowie.
Another penalty. Movement on that offensive line, like you said, or defense. It was questionable. Could have been either side.
Offside, defense, nose guard, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So Charlotte takes a penalty. There you see Alonzo, Arbuckle, the quarterback, trying to get back on the field. The senior who lost his mother when he was a freshman in high school, sort of held down the fort, he and his father, and 2-year starter at Georgia State. His team down 10. He wants the ball back.
He's a tough kid. They're happy to have him here after a great JUCO career. He's done a lot of good things for this Georgia State ball club.
Timeout, Georgia State. Second down coming up. They've got 1 timeout remaining. Well, we showed you Mr. Hogan's defensive touchdown. Charlotte's first ever football touchdown was that interception return for a score. And now a first FBS touchdown is this. Ball loose. Terrence Winchester out of the pile, saw the ball, and took it to the house. Could be the first FBS win for Charlotte. 10-point game. Next, title contender Michigan State, number 5 in the country, to take on Western Michigan on the road. Richmond, Maryland, UTEP, and a tough Arkansas team that really hurt a couple chances in the SEC last year. And Alonzo McGee absolutely crushes Bowie. Wow.
That was a huge hit. He was able to get in there right away and just blast Bowie.
Last time out, Georgia State, none remaining.
Going back to that Michigan State ball club, you talk about quarterbacks. Drew Statton, starting or has played quite a bit at Arizona. Brian Hoyer at Cleveland. Kirk Cousins at Washington. You can see Khalif Phillips there, a key weapon for this Charlotte team walking off the field. And then last but not least, you know, when you think about all the Michigan State players that have come through there and Connor Cook being next, it's going to be interesting.
We'll see what Michigan State can do against Western Michigan. A very emotional day for the Charlotte 49ers, who lost their offensive line coach Phil Ratliff due to a heart issue a couple of weeks ago. He was a captain of the Marshall football team in 1992. Trouble for the goalposts in Huntington, West Virginia that day. The Jim Donnan Marshall Thundering Herd. He and Brad Lambert overlapped there, and Brad Lambert not only lost a coach but a very close friend, somebody that pepped him up on a day-to-day basis, and he was one of the first people that Brad Lambert wanted on his staff at Charlotte. As Johnson goes down on 3rd down, and we move to 2 minutes remaining here in the game. A national championship team. Troy Brown, by the way, former New England Patriot. He was a wide receiver on that Marshall team. You remember, for the Patriots, he started playing some defensive back. He actually intercepted a pass in the championship game for Marshall.
He would always talk about the more you can do.
Yep.
He really was. He was a very versatile player.
So Charlotte will bleed the clock down, under 2 to go. And we'll punt it away, 4th and 14.
can see the white sunglasses that Brad Lambert wears. He would tease Philip Ratliff or Coach Ratliff about those, and just talk about, well, big guys, physical guys don't wear sunglasses that are white. and now in honor of them, they all are.
Well, and Phil Ratliff's wife Jenny.
Delay a game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
He's upset because they're saying it's not called a timeout.
There's a smile sneaking through there. As long as the score stays the same, the smile will stay the same.
If he was down, I don't know if he'd be smiling like that.
But Phil Ratliff to close the story there.
Prior to the play clock expiring, Charlotte called timeout, and they will be granted a 30-second timeout.
And even happier, Brad Lambert. But Coach Lambert said, look, this is important to me. We've got to keep Phil Ratliff's family involved. So his son and daughter and wife Jenny will all still be around the program throughout the season.
Just in closing on that, when you coach football or you play football, you're around a lot. The players are around, but the coaches spend a lot of time together. They get to know each other's families very intimately. It becomes a close-knit unit, no matter what organization or what program you play for. And when you lose somebody that you spend a lot of time with, that's the hardest part. And I think the family even knows football was his life, and now it's going to be a part of their life.
Well, the son, Dylan Ratliff, has been a ball boy for years for Charlotte football. He'll stay around the program. And there you see, first FBS game 4 years after you get hired.
Yeah.
Good luck. Roll it out there, see what happens. And they have really played their game today.
What did he say on the call? Yeah, I was happy, but I was like, what are we getting ourselves into now? Now that we're moving up.
He said that meeting was a little bit anxious when he broke it to everybody. Well, off we go. Myers, the fair catch off the Hart punt, 36 yards, no return. Let's check in with Brendan Fitzgerald inside the studio. Fitz.
Jason, thanks very much. Big question for Michigan State. How will their defense respond now that Pat Narduzzi is gone? This guy not in question. One of the best DNs in the country, Shalik Calhoun, Spartans Broncos coming up on the U. Jason, back to you.
Brendan, thank you. Looking forward to that one. Michigan State, one of those contenders for maybe a college football playoff victory. How far do you think they can go?
I'm very high on Michigan State. I think they have an excellent opportunity, especially with the Oregon team that will have a quarterback change with Vernon Adams or Jeff Locke, whoever's. I know Vernon Adams is going to start, but they say both may play. So I'm looking forward to Michigan State playing a key role in the Big Ten. And that's a team that can push Ohio State. Can they beat them? We shall see.
Second down off the tip pass, and Nick Arbuckle, the senior quarterback for Georgia State, hoping for a better result this year. 1-11 last year, lost their final 11, though they were close against a couple of powers in the league. Arbuckle under pressure has to wing it out of bounds. And third down coming up. Charlotte starting to feel that first win seeping through the veins.
We talked about it before. You got to learn how to win and consistently win. And I think that's the one thing with Georgia State they're still trying to do in the Sun Belt Conference. If you look at Charlotte, they're going into the Conference USA. You can't be happier if you're Brad Lambert with finding a way to win your first FBS game and do it the way they did with some turnovers and some defensively also.
First down and then some. Robert Davis. They have some good speed on the outside here at Georgia State, and he's one of the guys. 26 on that one.
This is a concern if you're a coach, though. You don't want Nick Arbuckle. It's only a 10-point lead. I've seen stranger things happen in football. But if you're Charlotte, you better keep going and keep pressing and get this ball back and ice this ball game.
Arbuckle down the middle, incomplete. He wanted Penny Hart. Instead, second down coming up. Nice play by DeQuavius Reed, the linebacker out of Berry Academy in Charlotte.
They are very lucky that that's not a touchdown. Reed did a nice job of getting back there and making a play on the ball, but that could have been 6 points.
Just got involved enough in the play. Under a minute to go. Pressure came. Todd Boyd, the sophomore, Can he get out of bounds is the question. And they do indeed stop the clock. Gain of 6, third down on the way.
If you're Charlotte, as much as you like to come after and pressure, you better have guys back far enough. And that's the thing, because this team, Georgia State, has some speed.
It's going to be put to the test coming up in a few weeks. They're at Oregon on September the 19th. Behind his man, incomplete, looking for Cam Myers. And now the downs are an issue. 4th and 4, 42 seconds left.
Cam Myers coming off a torn ACL last year at Eastern Mississippi Community College, but had a nice productive career there.
Niner Nation ready to erupt. Arbuckle needs at least 4. Down the sideline. Caught! Penny Hart. They say touchdown.
And that's what I was talking about. Arbuckle shows you on the move. They're able to protect for him. He's able to get outside and throw the ball down the field. Great job of keeping this play alive and nice catch. Almost too far. Did he go out? No, the official is right there, and he's pointing back. They're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
So his foot sweeps over the sideline, then comes back across.
Ruling is under further review.
Looked as though the front part of his foot touched down on the sideline.
It was so close, and the official there points to a watch. He's right there on the spot.
Watch the next step.
Yep.
It's the right side of his front foot there. It looked like the toe was on the sideline.
And the official is right there on the spot. Let's see if we can see any clarity here. But the biggest thing is, on a corner route, you cannot let your guy get behind you like that. And Penny Hart, the freshman out of Buford, Georgia. Woo! What did we say? There was a couple of missed opportunities. Oh, man, that is so close. And the key is, how can you overturn it?
I mean, that's one of those, if you're wearing size 12, you want it to be an 11.
Yeah. See, he's looking, he's pointing, and they're both, the other official who we don't see is going to be coming up behind him. Wow.
It's tough to overturn.
Yeah, it is. And think about this. You score here, which if it happens, you've got a guy that can kick 60 yards or more.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Not confirmed. Stands.
Yeah, exactly.
Important point.
Yes, sir, Mr. JD. Oh, man. You talked about it at halftime. But we see an enormous comeback. I'm telling you, Georgia State doesn't know how to quit. And Charlotte needs to learn how to finish. And that combination is not always a good thing if you're Charlotte ahead. It is a good thing if you're Georgia State behind.
Lutz to make it a field goal game. 7 plays, 85 yards, and $107. That'll help. He's got it. Onside kick is next on the docket.
Yes.
23-20 Charlotte. Brendan Fitzgerald, what do you got in the studio?
Hey, it's exciting down there in the Georgia Dome coming up at Waldo Stadium. Will it be exciting between Michigan State and Western Michigan? The Spartans coming off an 11-2 season. They get their 2015 campaign underway in just a few minutes. Guys, back to you.
Against a team that made it to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl last year, Western Michigan 8-5. Here's a touchdown for Georgia State and Penny Hart.
This is what was so impressive. Nick Arbuckle on the run and just fires it down there. He almost overthrows Hart, and Hart able to keep his balance. But again, you can't give up those plays late in the game when they're throwing the football. And that's the part with Charlotte, finishing ball games is going to be key for them. Knowing how to close games and starting off stronger has to be the mantra for Georgia State.
Remember earlier on, too, Georgia State missed a field goal from just outside of 50 yards, hit the crossbar, and would be a tie game right now. Onside kick for Lutz.
I had a funny feeling this momentum has totally shifted to the guys in the blue jerseys.
Last chance for Georgia State. No timeouts remaining. Gotta have this. High bounce. Out of bounds.
That was the chance. It was a kick they wanted, just a little too far for their guys to get to. You know, Brad Lambert is probably, Coach Lambert is saying, whew, Trent Bostic was right there in position. He probably could have knocked that ball out. I mean, if it had been closer, either go get it. It just took too much of a hop for him. It's what they wanted, but you can see clearly too high, and no one could touch that.
Free kick out of bounds by the kicking team. Penalties declined. First down at the spot went out.
So not only is Brad Lambert thinking about his first ever FBS victory for his program in its first ever FBS game, but he's also thinking about a friend that he lost a couple of weeks ago, his offensive line coach, Phil Ratliff, who he wishes, maybe more than anything, could be here.
Well, talking to those guys, you could tell the emotion was still raw, and they're doing a lot in honor of him, whether it's the offensive line, whether the team as a whole. Like I said, when you lose a coach and a friend like that, it's a tough place to be.
Unwitting Gatorade.
They're trying to get him.
Pending.
He's trying to get away from him.
Hold, please.
See, they're setting him up. They were trying to set him up, and he's trying to get out of the way of the coach because he knows as a former defensive back, I know y'all got something up your sleeve.
First ever FBS game for Charlotte is a victory for Brad Lambert. Just hired 4 years ago, is picking out goalpost colors. He's got a win in his first FBS game. Final score, Charlotte 23, Georgia State 20. Coming up next, Michigan State number 5 against Western Michigan as we say so long from Atlanta.
Welcome to Dick's Sporting